Alright guys, welcome. It's Monday. Happy Monday. Um, I am struggling to figure out OBS Studio, but I'm kind of getting the hang of it. Anyway, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure we're live right now. So, from my understanding, there's some drama in the courthouse with Judge Simpson. So I figured you guys can come hang out with me. I'll get some work done. We'll we'll all do this together. I might have to play around with my browser a little bit because I think I figured out how to finally do this chat thing. So anyway, yeah, I think I already have it playing. Let me just turn it up a little bit. Gonna hit fast forward. Sorry, hang on, just bear with me a second. Okay, just had to get that out of the way. I think they were check. Sorry, I think they were just dealing with the drama in the back. The judge is about to pull up the attorneys to get it all sorted out. Sorted out. Okay, I have no idea how to respond to my own chat, so what I'll do is I'll get a buddy of mine to do it for me. Eventually, I'll get this figured out. I got some work to do anyway, so. Let me fast forward this a little bit. Yeah, we're there. Okay. They all rise. Simpson's about to call up the attorneys. This isn't a trial, this is a prelim exam. Um, if you're not familiar with the court process in a criminal case, sometimes there's a preliminary exam to establish if there's probable cause to move forward with a trial. In this case, I believe there's multiple defendants, and apparently there's some animosity. I'm just waiting to see if the attorneys stand up and go walk over to the judge. Man, I hate when he doesn't have his mic turned on right away. There's sound in the courtroom. It just, you won't hear it until they get their mics turned on, which is going to be.
Thank you. Before we begin with the preliminary examination, the court has been informed that there have been some, I'll call them altercations or other things that have occurred in the hallway between people. Those folks that are in the courtroom now that were involved in that have been identified to me, as well as the court security and my bailiff. I'm going to warn everybody, and I'm going to admonishment that I've instructed court security that if anybody causes any disruption whatsoever in proceedings or in the hallways, they are to be removed. They do not need a further order from me. And that if you resist in some way or cause some further altercation, they are to place you under arrest. So everybody needs to understand what rules and games are played by. I've informed counsel of that in case they're aware of any of the individuals that are here. I will tolerate none of that. That understanding, date and time set for preliminary examination. People ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Your Honor, I would move on behalf of my client to be sequestration of witnesses, excluding, of course, the officer in charge.
All right. All witnesses who will testify are hereby ordered, sequestered, and are to be out of the courtroom prior to testimony. They are also instructed as part of the sequestration order that if they have testified, they're not to discuss the matter with any other witness of testifying until they are released. The officer in charge, of course, may remain in the courtroom.
Thank you.
So he just sequestered all the witnesses, basically put them back in the hallway, where all the drama just came from. Now it sounds like the people that were fighting, arguing, or whatever have been removed from the courtroom, but that's not completely clear yet.
All the witnesses should be out of the courtroom now. People would call Jameel Thomas, and just as a housekeeping matter, would the court prefer that I go to the podium or remain in the jury box while examining a witness?
I'd prefer that you were at the podium. However, you can examine witnesses over there. I would, because of the setup of the courtroom, if there is a private conversation going on, that microphone in front of you is live, so you would need to hit the button.
Understood.
All right. You have your first witness.
I believe he should be coming in shortly.
Oh, okay. Please come forward to be sworn.
Take a seat, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to affirm the testimony about to give you the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so you got it.
Yes, sir.
Now, see, state, spell your first and last name for the record, please.
Jameel Thomas, Jameel, Thomas, Thomas.
All right, you may inquire.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Thomas. How are you? Mr. Thomas, I'm going to ask you some questions about an incident that occurred in early January this year. If at any point you can't hear me or don't understand a question, just let me know and I can speak up or rephrase. Is that okay? Beginning on January 2nd, 2025, did you go to a barber shop on that day?
Yes, I did.
And at that time, did anything happen at that shop that gave you concern or that seemed unusual?
They were talking about robbing people and stuff like that.
Who is they?
Some pages at a barbershop.
Okay. And were you having a conversation with anyone while you were there?
Just my barber.
And who is your barber?
Poncho.
Okay. So you're talking with Poncho and there's a couple other patrons in the barber shop at the same time. Is that correct? And what were you and Poncho discussing?
Just talking about general stuff, my family, my brother.
Okay. Who is your brother? Same last name?
Yes.
Do you have any cousins?
Yes.
Well, who are your cousins?
Myron.
What's Myron's last name?
Couch.
And do you see Myron Couch in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
Can you please point to him and identify him by an article of clothing that he's wearing? So we're making an audible record here. If you can just say an article of clothing that he's wearing as well.
He has a black vest on. A button-up shirt.
The record may reflect that the witness has identified defendant Myron Couch.
And he's seated to your right, sir.
Yes.
All right. Record shall so reflect without objection.
So you have your brother Malik, cousin Myron, any other family members?
And Christy Couch.
Christy, how is Christy related?
Myron's wife.
Myron's wife. And Christy Couch, do you see her in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
Can you please point to her and identify her by an article of clothing that she's wearing?
She has a black shirt on.
There's a couple black shirt with white pants. Right. The record may reflect that the witness has identified defendant Christy Couch as well.
Record shall so reflect without objection.
And the individuals at the barber shop that you overheard talking about robbing people, did you recognize that or those individuals?
No.
What did they look like?
Black male, tall, around my height.
Okay.
A bit shorter. Another black male, shorter with a puffer jacket on. And it has coat hat.
And you said around your height. How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot.
What did they sound like?
One of the guys sounded like this. He had a voice like this.
And just so the record can reflect, because again, it's a type, you've got sort of nasally there, is what it sounded like to me. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. Did you think anything of that conversation at that time that it occurred on January 2nd?
No.
Okay. Moving on to January 4th of 2025, where were you the morning of the 4th at about 7 o'clock?
I was in the bathroom.
In your home?
In my home upstairs.
Where is that home located? What's the address?
10060 Willow Road.
Is that here in Washtenaw County?
If this gets boring, I want to keep an eye on some other courts, see if we can find something that's a little more fun. But I'm thinking this is going to turn into something. I really do. Let's find out.
What was that road name, sir?
10060 Willow Road.
Willow? All right.
And that's in Augusta Township, is that correct? Okay. So you said you were in your bathroom at about 7 o'clock?
Yes,
What had you been doing prior to 7 o'clock?
I just got home.
All right. Where do you work?
And,
Okay. And is that pretty typical that you'll work sort of late evening, early morning shifts?
yeah, 12 shifts.
Okay. Was there anything that happened that morning that led someone in your house to call 911?
Yes. I was told police, when I was in the bathroom, the police came. They said they were the police.
So I'm going to rewind, unpack some things here. You said they said they were the police. How many people were in your house at that point? Let me perhaps rephrase the question. How many people live with you at your house?
Me, my girlfriend, my daughter. So 30.
And what is your girlfriend and your daughter's name?
My girlfriend name is Ayana Fettersfield, and my daughter's name is Nevaeh Thomas.
Okay. And were they home on the morning of the 4th?
Yes.
Do you know where they were in the house?
My girlfriend was in her room, and my daughter was in her room.
Okay. And so the morning of the 4th, the three of you are home, and then you said they came and said they were the police. How many people came into your house that day or that morning?
40.
All right. And what were those people wearing?
Tactical vests, ski masks, jeans, Tyson Jordans, and Nike.
So I heard jeans, I didn't hear what you said after that.
Nikes, and Jordans.
You said Jordans and Nikes? Referring to the shoes?
Yes.
Okay.
Were you able to see their faces?
No.
Why not?
They had ski masks on.
Can you describe what style ski masks they were wearing?
All black, cover your face, all right here, all right here.
Did you let these individuals into your house? Do you know how they got into the house? Was the front door locked at the time?
Yes.
Did the front door sustain any damage to it?
Yes.
And so when they break in through the front door, are you still in the bathroom at that time?
Yes.
What did you do when you heard them enter your house?
When I first heard them enter my house, I thought it was the police. So I peeked out, and when they came up the steps, that's when my dog attacked me.
And what sort of dog do you own? And you say your dog attacked them. What specifically did your dog do?
He jumped up and bit one of them in the arm.
And at that point, did you still think that they were police?
No, by the time I saw their clothes, I recognized they weren't police.
Right.
And
Sorry.
then that's when they pulled me out of the bathroom.
When you say they pulled you, was it all four of them or just a combination of them? Who pulled you out?
All kicked me out of the bathroom.
What were you doing at that time? Were you fighting back? Were you sort of shocked? What was your reaction to being pulled out of the bathroom?
The first thing I said, what the fuck was going on? And they proceeded to put my arms and put it behind my back, and they put the zip ties on me, and then they threw me to the floor.
So they take you out of the bathroom, put zip ties on you, throw you to the floor. Can you describe the layout of your house, just so we have an understanding of where in your house that bathroom is?
Okay, so the layout of my house is the steps are going up, and you come in on the hallway, the bathroom's on the left-hand side.
So are you on the first or the second floor?
Second floor.
Second floor. And your front door, I'm assuming, is on the first floor.
Yes.
From the front door to the second floor, how far is that? Is there like a room you need to go through, or is the stairway right there?
It's pretty much you turn right, and it's right there.
Okay. What else is on the second floor as far as the room layout?
It's my room and my daughter's room.
Okay. So 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, is that fair? Okay. You said that they zip tied you. Where did that occur?
When they they grab me out of the bathroom, they sit down.
And did they put you in a specific room, or were you in a hallway? Where were you when you got zip tied?
They slammed me on the floor in the hallway,
Just outside the bathroom?
just outside the bathroom.
At that point, what did you see happen next?
I see one of the assailants came and ripped my girlfriend out of her room, and they pretty much slammed her on the ground also.
All right. And when you say ripped her out of her room, which room would that be?
Our room, our room.
Okay, so it's both of yours rooms?
Yeah.
Okay. Were these individuals carrying any weapons on them?
Yes.
What weapons did they have on them?
Pistol.
Can you describe the color or shape of those?
One had a silver pistol.
Okay.
The other, they had like in a waistband, I could tell, like I could see a gun shape, so.
So you could see the print of it on their clothes, but you didn't actually see the pistol itself.
Yes.
Right. Did they have any other weapons or tools with them?
Chainsaw.
How many chainsaws did they have?
They brought one chainsaw.
Okay. What did they do with that chainsaw?
They got to ripping up our foundation in the house upstairs, cutting the walls, ripping the walls, and trying to destroy the house looking for money.
All right. Did they say anything while they were doing that?
Where's the money at?
And when this was happening, was it just one person making statements, or how many people were shouting or saying where's the money?
No.
Okay, so all four of these individuals were asking where's the money?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Do you have any idea what they were referring to when they were asking about the money?
it was their clothes.
Okay.
It was their clothes that told him that they weren't placed. It wasn't the chainsaws. Is that common in your neighborhood for the the police to carry chainsaws?
That who?
My brother believed.
Objection basis.
Let me rephrase it this way.
I'll sustain your objection. Rephrase.
Thank you. Do you know your brother to owe anyone money?
No.
Do you know of anyone? Strike that actually. The house that you were in, who owns that house?
Wow.
Okay. Did your brother ever live at that house?
No.
How much of the house did they go through, or did these people go through with the chainsaw?
Upstairs, and a little bit downstairs.
When you say a little bit downstairs, how many rooms damaged would you say?
They had, from the attic, trying to get inside.
Okay. And was it one person primarily doing it, or were they all sort of doing the damaging?
So it was one person specifically, with the chainsaw. He was doing most of the damage. Another person was downstairs checking and doing some damage down there also.
His voice keeps dropping.
Yeah. Okay. You have to keep your voice up. The microphones in here don't amplify. Okay. It's only for recording purposes. Go ahead.
Mr. Cooper, just
Yeah.
repeat his last name.
If you could say what you just told the court again, just a little louder this time. Yeah. So I believe the question that was just asked was it just one person doing the damage, or was it multiple people?
Yeah, it was one person upstairs doing the damage, and there was another person downstairs doing some damage also.
Okay. The person upstairs, were they the one with the chainsaw?
Yes.
All right. Did they have any articles of clothing that stood out to you?
Yes.
What?
A camo shirt,
Okay. What sort of camo?
camouflage like women.
Woodland, so like a green, brown sort of thing?
Yes.
Was it long sleeve or short sleeve? Do you remember?
Mostly.
Long sleeve?
And this was the person that was with the chainsaw?
Yes.
Okay.
Was there anything about their shoes or their footwear that stood out to you?
Okay, maybe it was one chainsaw.
All the way.
Okay.
It's what I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Repeat your answer, sir.
Jordan's on all the way. One of the same.
Okay. Did you observe any of them to have any sort of ankle monitor or tether on?
Yes.
How many?
Just one.
And was the person with the tether the person holding the chainsaw, or was that a different person?
He was the person holding the chainsaw.
Okay. Was he the one wearing the Jordans as well, or is that a different person?
Yes.
That was a yes.
So, from my understanding, you could track these ankle monitors. I mean, you could probably just throw that into evidence and call this prelim exam done. But I guess there's like 4 defendants, so we'll keep going.
To which part of that question? There were 2 questions there.
It was yes to the Jordan part.
Oh.
So I guess just to make a clear record, so the person with the chainsaw was wearing both the camouflage, the Jordans, and had a tether on. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You said that at least one of them you saw armed with, I believe you described it as a silver pistol. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did they ever use that weapon in any way?
Yes, he used it to one pistol with me, and then he let the gun off in the back of my head. He also let the gun off in the back of my girlfriend's head, and at the end of that, he kicked in my daughter's door and said, "You think we fucking playing?" and shot the gun off in my daughter's door.
When
So just so that I'm clear, he shot the gun off next to your head.
Yeah, he put the gun to the back of my head and shot it off.
Okay, and he did the same thing to your girlfriend?
Yes, he put the pistol to her back and shot it off also.
Okay. But the barrel of the pistol was pointed in another direction other than the body.
Right, because you would be probably dead if it was pointed at the back of your head. Um, the daughter too? Come on, guys.
Either your head or your girlfriend. The pistol, the barrel wasn't pointed toward them, correct?
Yeah.
Toward you, right? Is that right? And then shot it off again in your daughter's.
Yes.
All right, go ahead. Coach.
Thank you. And when you say pistol whipped, what do you mean by that?
Kept telling me, keep my head down. I looked up, he took the gun and he hit me in the side of the face right here.
And you said right here and sort of gestured towards your right eye. Is that accurate?
Yes. And when he hit me with the pistol, I went unconscious for at least 5 seconds.
Okay. How many times roughly would you say you went unconscious during all of this?
I was in 3 times maybe.
Okay. The pistol, when it was fired, did it sound like a firearm going off, like an air gun? What sort of gun did it sound like?
It sounded like a real gun at the time.
Okay. Did you or anyone else that you know of get hit by a projectile that left that pistol?
No.
Was there any damage to the walls from that gun being fired or anything like that?
No.
Okay. At the time that you were on the ground, were you free to move around?
No.
What was keeping you from moving around?
I was zip tied from the hand and one of the sailors had their foot on my back.
Was this the same one with the chainsaw or a different one?
Same one with the chainsaw.
As these people were going through the house, let me rephrase the question this way. At some point, did you have contact with your girlfriend, Ayana, during this incident?
Yes, she was laying across from me.
Okay. When did she get to be across from you?
Almost immediately after I got tossed on the floor, they brought her out there.
Okay. What was she wearing at the time?
She was completely naked.
Okay. How far apart were the two of you while you were on the floor?
Just a few feet apart.
Okay. Were you able to see, or I guess I'll phrase the question this way. What was your body position as far as were you face down, face up, on your side? How were you positioned?
I was face down.
Were you able to see Ayana from where you were while you were laying down on the ground?
Yes.
Can you describe, were you able to see Ayana from where you were while you were laying down on the ground?
Yes.
Can you describe, was there any contact that these people had with Ayana while you were on the ground?
While I was on the ground, one of the sailors kept touching her ass and making a jiggle when he stayed over top of her. He kept caressing her body.
Okay. These 4 people that came into your house, I believe your testimony was that one of them had a chainsaw and was sort of standing over you at some point, and then did he leave you in order to go damage the house, or how did that work?
So after he got done, he asked us, he kept asking about money. They all was generally asking about money. Where's the money? Where's the money? When we told them we don't have any money, we have nothing. I have any money. They said that's when they got to go with the chainsaws and stuff like that.
Okay. So how long was the individual with the chainsaw directly standing over you?
It was like 10 minutes.
Okay. Was there a different individual that was standing over Ayana, or was it the same individual?
Like different.
While those two were sort of standing over the two of you, what were the other two individuals in the house doing?
One of the individuals was sitting at the steps, watching, looking out the window to make sure. And then another one was downstairs, rummaging through things, looking for money.
Okay. So we have three people then on the second floor and one person downstairs on the first floor. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. To your knowledge, did they find any money?
No.
Did they take anything from your house before they left?
Yes, my PlayStation 5.
And when they left, well, actually, I'll phrase it this way. When did they leave? Do you know?
After they got done destroying their items, they left.
Okay. Do you know roughly how long they were in your house?
It felt like 30 minutes.
Okay. When they left, where were you and Ayana situated?
We were still upstairs.
Were you still zip tied at that point?
Still zipped up.
Were you able to see any vehicles that they came or left in?
No.
How did you eventually get those zip ties off of you?
Yes.
How did those come off?
My girlfriend had to cut the ball.
And before these four individuals left with your PlayStation, you testified that they destroyed or took a chainsaw to the house. Did they damage any other property of yours?
They destroyed my phone and my iPad.
Right. And where were those located before the incident?
In the bathroom.
With you or a different bathroom?
With me.
Okay.
Upstairs.
After they leave, you said your girlfriend cuts the zip ties off. What do you do then?
They didn't break her phone, so we got her phone and called the police.
Okay. At that point, had you sustained any injuries from this?
Yes.
What all did you sustain as far as injuries go?
My eye, I had a concussion. I couldn't see. I almost lost vision in my eye.
Okay. And going back just a second here, when the individuals were going through your house and asking where's the money, did you recognize any of those voices?
Yes.
How many of those voices did you recognize?
Just one.
And how did you recognize that voice?
It sounded like it was similar to the person I heard in the barbershop.
Okay. Sort of that same nasally voice then?
All
right. Was there anything else about that voice that struck you as odd?
It just seemed like he was trying really hard to change his voice so I wouldn't notice.
Okay. Didn't sound natural to you?
It didn't sound natural.
Okay. All right, just 1 second, please.
You may.
A few more questions. Before you were ultimately zip tied, did these individuals make any other attempts to restrain you in any way?
Yes.
What did they do?
They tried to zip down my feet. That didn't work. They tried to put industrial headphones on our heads and cover our face with blindfolds, but that didn't work, so they just gave up.
Okay. And did they do that to just you, or did they do that with Ayana as well?
They also put headphones on Ayana.
Okay. No further questions at this time. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Norman, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. So when you were initially approached in the bathroom, you said you saw all four people?
Yes.
And did they have anything in their hands at that time?
No.
Okay. So earlier you testified that someone had a silver gun. They didn't have that in their hand when they got to the door. yes, they had it, or yes, they did not have it?
Can you repeat the question, please?
You said 4 people came to the door of the bathroom.
Yes.
Earlier, you said that you at some point saw someone with a silver handgun.
Yes.
Did that person have that gun when they came to the door of the bathroom?
I didn't see it.
All right. And same question regarding chainsaw. You said someone was carrying a chainsaw. Did they have that when they got to the bathroom? Okay. Um, you also said that all 4 of them pulled you out.
Yes.
All 4 of them were able to enter the bathroom at your home?
Yes.
All right. And how did they pull you out? By what parts of your body?
Grabbed me by my arms.
All right. So you have 2 arms. Who pulled you?
The main guy, yes.
Oh.
Like, one guy pulled me from the arm, and then the rest of them started pulling me out the bathroom.
Okay. And the main guy, who would that be?
I'm not sure, just the tallest one.
Okay. And you described them all as about your height or very close to your height, correct? All right. They all had on masks. You couldn't see their faces, correct? All right. And you said they all spoke.
Yes.
And your only voice you recognized was someone you believe had been at the barber shop earlier on January 2nd.
Correct.
Was Myron Couch at the barber shop on January 2nd?
No.
All right. Um,
I finally figured out how to view my chat and to respond to my chat. So to all my 0 people watching, when you decide to chat, just hop in there and just at least say hello.
and you said then that you were zip tied and pushed on the floor upstairs in the hallway.
Yes.
Did were you ever taken downstairs?
No.
All right. And then you also said that they attempted to put headphones on you, but couldn't.
Yes.
And at this point, you're zip tied and on the ground.
Yes.
What prevented them from putting headphones on you?
The headphones, they were cheap, they fell off. They couldn't stay on my head.
Okay. And you said they tried to put a mask on you as well?
They tried to put a blindfold on.
All right. And why was that unsuccessful?
It just didn't work, so they just gave up.
Okay. And then they attempted to zip tie your legs. Same thing. Zip ties just didn't work. Okay. All right. So at what point, I think y'all said you lost consciousness for a few seconds, right?
Yes.
And then at what point did you see the silver gun?
At what point?
Yes, at what point?
Yeah, that's with me.
All right. So just for clarification, you're zip tied on the ground. 4 guys are standing around and nobody has anything in their hand.
No.
All right. And so where did this person retrieve this weapon from?
I don't know.
Could you tell whether it was, do you know what a revolver is?
No. Yes, I do.
Okay. Could you tell whether it was a revolver or a semi-automatic gun? You couldn't see the weapon. Other than being silver, can you make any more description regarding that weapon? I think you stated that you didn't see how the people arrived or left your home.
Correct.
Now, I think you also said that they were wearing tactical vests.
Yes.
Did you see anything on the vest?
No.
No flags or anything on any of the vests?
No.
They were completely black.
Yes.
All right. And you also said that your dog bit one of the assailants.
Yes.
Do you know which one? As you're describing it, was the tallest one?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you remember any shell casings? You said that at some point the person with the silver gun fired shots.
No.
You don't recall any shells being ejected? at any point, so as you're on the ground, they attempt to put the headphones and things on you. That for some reason doesn't work. You said that the person with the chainsaw was the person who was keeping you on the ground?
Yes.
All right. And then where did the other gentleman go?
One was standing at the steps, one was over my girlfriend.
Okay.
And also the last one was downstairs.
All right. How long was the person with the chainsaw standing over you?
Around 10 minutes.
All right. And at some point, he had to leave, right? Because you said that he was tearing up the house.
Correct.
Then did someone else come and stand over you?
I don't know.
Okay. Did you ever make any attempt to get up from the ground while they were in the house?
No.
All right. And you could see your girlfriend from where you were.
Yes.
And as far as you know, did she make any attempt to get up and leave the house?
No.
All right. What happened to your dog after it supposedly bit someone?
We ran into the room.
Into what room?
The main bedroom, my room, me and my girlfriend's room.
Okay. And was the door open or closed?
My girlfriend was closing the door at the time.
Okay, so this is before she had been put on the floor?
Yes.
Okay. And you couldn't identify any of the four people, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Goldsmith.
Did you know Christy Couch prior to January the 2nd of 25?
He seems like he's scared.
Yes.
So you knew what she looked like prior to January 2nd of 2025?
Yes.
Had you ever had a conversation with her or been present when she was having a conversation with somebody else prior to January 2nd of 25? Okay. So you had never heard her voice prior to that time?
Wow. Yes, I heard her voice.
Okay. And if you'll, I know I'm going to get some crap for this, but she sounds like a woman, right?
Correct.
When you were in the barbershop on January 2nd of 2025, did you hear any female voices?
No.
Okay. So you're not telling us that she was part of the conversation about having this robbery. When you were in the barbershop, you said you overheard some guys talking about a robbery.
Correct.
She was not part of that conversation.
No.
Okay. The voices that you heard on January the 4th in your house, did you hear a female voice?
I don't remember.
You don't remember. Okay. You testified earlier, however, that the four individuals who were in your house that morning were all about your height, correct?
Correct.
Do you know how tall Miss Couch is?
No, no.
You said the only thing that was taken was a PlayStation?
Correct.
Where was that taken from?
Downstairs.
Downstairs. You were never downstairs that morning, right?
No.
So you were not present when the PlayStation was taken.
Correct.
You don't know who took it.
Correct.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bernstein.
I have no questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Brown. Good afternoon. The persons that came into your home, you said they were close to your height, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. You identified one person as the main guy, is that right? Okay.
Okay. And that was the person you identified as the main guy, is the one who was standing over you,
Correct.
had a chainsaw.
Correct.
Okay. And your height is what, 6 foot?
Correct.
Okay. And you indicated this was the tallest of the individuals that was standing up. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So he would have been close to your height, close to 6 foot?
Correct.
Okay. Could he have been taller than 6 foot? Okay. But close to your height.
Correct.
Said something about they tried to change their voices. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what their voices sounded like normally?
No. Yes.
So when they tried to change their voices, what did you perceive they were doing to change their voices?
Like having a high pitched voice. I basically kind of like this, if that makes sense.
So they tried to talk more nasally,
Yes.
tried to talk more high pitched.
Yes.
Do you recall long hair, afros?
No.
What about beards or mustaches?
No.
Don't recall.
No.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any further questions for you.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Thank you. The 4 individuals that came into your house, you were asked a question on cross-examination about their hair and beards. Do you remember that question?
Yes.
What was it possible for you to see their hair with the ski masks?
No.
What about any beards?
No.
How much of their face could you see?
Just eyes and mouth.
And from that, could you see skin color?
Yes.
Do you remember what skin color they were?
Black.
All of them?
Yes.
Okay. And the tactical vest, you were asked a question about that and regarding flags or pins that might have been on those. Were all 4 individuals wearing the same vest to your knowledge, or were they different styles?
They seem like the same vest, yes.
And just so that it's clear, all 4 of them were plain, no adornments on any of them?
Yes.
No further questions, thank you.
Just one quick question. Was the chainsaw, was it electric or gas? Do you know the difference?
It was a smaller chainsaw.
Pardon?
I believe it was electric. It was a smaller chainsaw.
Smaller chainsaw, electric. Okay, very good. Any questions based upon the court's questions?
No, Your Honor.
I have one.
All right, go ahead, Mr.
Could you see what everyone was wearing, including the people downstairs?
I don't remember.
Don't remember. Okay. Did you get a chance to, at some point you saw all of them, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see the shoes that all of them were wearing?
No, I don't remember.
Do you remember seeing even their feet or the ankles of all of them?
Yes.
Okay. You said some were wearing Jordans.
Yes.
Do you remember what the others were wearing?
No.
How about pants? Do you remember what kind of pants all of them were wearing?
I have blue jeans, but no.
Okay, so one had blue jeans. How about anything else stand out? Don't remember. Okay, thank you.
How do I do the question?
Go ahead, Mr. Costa.
Mr. Cook asked you, or I believe it was Mr. Cook, whether you could tell the race of the 4 individuals.
Correct.
And you said they were all black, correct? Okay, you recognize Ms. Couch?
Yes.
Okay, is she black? Thank you.
No further questions? All right. You may step down. Sir? Sir? You may step down. It's okay. It's all right. Any objection to this witness being excused?
No, Your Honor.
No,
All right. The witness is excused. You may call your next witness.
Thank you. The people call Ayana Petersfield.
It almost looks like both of the front tables include the defendants, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Because I know they haven't acknowledged these two guys, but then they just talked about this lady, so. Well, hang on. Where did the prosecution guy just walk from?
Okay, thank you.
How do I do the question?
Go ahead, Mr. Coles.
Mr. Cook asked you, or I believe it's Mr. Cook, whether you could tell the race of the four individuals.
Correct.
And you said they were all black, correct?
Correct.
Okay, you recognize Ms. Couch?
Yes.
Okay, is she black? Thank you.
No further questions? All right. You may step down. Sir? Sir?
So the prosecution's in the jury box? That's a new one.
Recognize what was being screamed? What was being screamed? Okay. When you woke up, what was your initial reaction?
I was confused at first. And then I instantly ran to go see what the commotion was.
And were you able to figure out what was going on? What could you see from, or let me phrase it this way, where did you go that you were able to see what was going on?
I left my bedroom, and from the doorway was our hallway, and I was able to turn my head left and see a group of people.
Okay. And that group of people, did that include your boyfriend?
Yes.
Was there anyone else in that group that you recognized?
No.
How many people were in the group?
4.
Including your boyfriend?
No, including him would be 5.
Okay. So 4 unknown individuals and your boyfriend, what are they? And that would be the 4 individuals you don't recognize holding your boyfriend down?
Yes.
Okay. What were those 4 unknown individuals wearing?
Tactical vests, masks that went over their head and over, I want to say to their neck. They had on gloves.
Okay. When you saw that, what did you do?
I instantly turned around to go back into my room and close the door.
Were you able to get the door closed?
No.
What stopped you from getting the door closed?
Someone had ran up right behind me and was in the middle of the doorway.
So you tried to close in, this person is like physically blocking the door. Is that what I'm understanding? Okay. When they got in between the door and stopped it from closing, what happened at that point?
We began to fight over the door for about, I want to say maybe 30 seconds.
Okay. And was it just one person or multiple people that you were fighting with at that time?
Just one person. Sorry.
Were they taller than you, shorter than you, same height? Taller. And do you know male or female? Okay. Who won that fight over the door?
He did.
What happened after he got control of the door?
I was grabbed by my hair in my arm and I was body slammed onto the floor of my hallway.
And the individual that you were fighting with the door over, was that the individual that grabbed you, or was it a different individual?
It was the same individual.
Okay. What were you wearing at the time?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay. You're on the ground, or you said that you got taken to the ground and moved to the hallway. Were you taken to the ground in your room and then sort of dragged to the hallway, or did they take you to the ground in the hallway?
They took me to the ground from my room.
Okay. And then how did they get you to the hallway? thrown?
Yes.
Okay.
They picked me up, I was body slammed. I got picked up from my bedroom and then flipped onto the hallway, to the hallway side,
Okay.
and that's where I laid.
Okay. At any point, did you consent to this or say this was okay or that you wanted that to happen?
No.
Were you fighting back at that point?
No,
What were you doing?
I was trying to comply as much as possible
Comply with what?
with whatever they were asking.
What were they asking?
They were asking for us to lay down and keep our heads down. And they continuously asked for money while they pointed guns at us.
Was it one person doing the asking or multiple?
There was multiple asking.
Were you able to see if they were armed with any weapons?
Yes.
How many were armed and with what?
I was able to see all of them. All of them looked like they had a gun on them. Two had an impression on their waistband, and then the rest of them were holding their guns, walking around with them.
So you saw two people actually holding a gun in their hand.
Yes.
Were there any other tools or weapons that you observed?
Yes, a chainsaw.
How many?
Just one.
And was that, who held that chainsaw? Was it one of the individuals with a gun in their hand or was it one of the individuals with the gun sort of pressed into their waistband?
One of the guns pressed to the waistband.
All right. What was he doing with that chainsaw?
He was chainsawing sections of our house upstairs.
And where were you when the person with the chainsaw was going through the house?
I was still laying on the floor next to my boyfriend. There was an individual that kept his foot on my back, and another individual kept their foot on Jamil's back.
So you're face down on the ground, sort of in a prone position next to Jamil. Is that accurate?
Yes.
You said one had a foot on your back. Did they touch you anywhere else other than your back?
Yes.
Where?
They touched me.
Do you know how many times?
Throughout the time they were going through the house, this person would take time to stop by me and use their right foot to continuously hit my right side of my butt to make it dribble, and then they would walk away and then come back and proceed to do the same thing again until the whole thing was over.
Did the individual that assaulted you like that, did they say anything or make any comments about what they were doing?
No, they stayed quiet the whole time.
And was that the same individual that had their foot on your back or was it a different individual?
The same individual.
Okay. Other than having that foot on your back, was there any other restraints that they put on you?
No.
Did they try to put any other restraints on you?
They tried to put earmuffs on me, but they got slipped off.
Okay. Do you know what type of earmuffs they were?
You would get at a gun range.
Okay. So like an over the ear style. Okay. How long would you say these individuals were in your house for?
About 30 minutes.
Okay. At any point, did you observe any of these individuals use these pistols? How many of them used their pistols?
Two that we saw were holding the guns out.
Okay.
Were the two that let the guns off.
When you say let the guns off, does that mean they fired the gun? Is that what you're?
They fired it. Obviously, there's no bullets in the guns. They were fired.
Okay. How many times did they fire these guns?
They did it throughout the whole thing. They would come to us and put the guns to our heads and continuously let them off.
Okay. When you say continuously, is it like rapid fire? They just kept pulling the trigger, or is it they do one pull the trigger, leave, come back, do another pull of the trigger? How was that?
They would pull the trigger, I would say, about 3 times. And then after that, they would demand where the money was. And whenever we would comply or we told them we didn't know, they would let it off again.
Okay. At any point, did any of these individuals use the gun in a way other than just firing it off?
Oh, no, they actually pistol whipped Jamil in the beginning.
And I think I understand what pistol whip means. What does pistol whip mean to you?
Taking either side of the weapon and using it and hitting the individual.
So this individual hit Jamil with the pistol directly.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a daughter?
I did.
How old is that daughter?
She's 3 years old.
Was she in the house at the time?
She was.
Where was she at the time that all of this was going down?
She was in her room sleeping.
And is that on the first floor or the second floor?
Second.
And did any of these four individuals ever go into your daughter's room?
They did.
How many times would you say they went into your daughter's room?
2 times.
What did they do when they were in your daughter's room?
They pointed the gun at my daughter. They startled her to wake her up. And when she was awake and alert, they pointed it in her face and continuously letting us know that they were going to kill our daughter if we didn't give them any kind of money.
Did your daughter sustain any injuries?
No.
Okay. After these individuals left, did you see them take anything, or did you observe that they had taken anything from the house?
No.
Okay. When they left, what did you do?
I stayed on the floor. Jamil told me not to get up. He was the first one to get up and look and see if they had actually left.
Your objection. Non-responsive. She asked what she did. She saw. Overall, go ahead.
So Jamil, he was the first one that got up. Did you ever get up?
Yes, after he told me.
Okay. What did you do after you got up?
I went into my room and retrieved scissors to cut the zip tie off Jamil.
So he had been zip tied at that point?
Yes.
Was there any damage to your property other than to the house?
No. They broke our phones.
How many phones were broken?
2 phones and 1 iPad.
Was your phone broken?
No, they were able to find mine.
Were you able to use your phone?
Yes.
Did you call 911?
Yes.
Did you recognize or know any of the individuals that broke into your house that day? One moment, please, Your Honor.
Yes. Well, he does that. Ma'am, you said your daughter was how old?
3 years old.
3. Thank you.
No further questions. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Norman.
So, this sounds like the scariest night possible. I was hoping for a little more drama, but this is pretty serious, and they kept firing off their weapons next to these people's heads. One of them got pistol whipped, and they were shooting in the 3-year-old daughter's room. I don't even know if I want to play this exam anymore, but since we got started, let's keep going.
You just testified that you don't believe anything was taken from the house.
I didn't find out that the PlayStation was taken, but I didn't see anyone take anything.
Okay, because you stayed upstairs this entire time. And can you describe, you said 2 people had guns in their hands. Can you describe those weapons? Yes.
It just looked like a small black gun. They had really, really bright flashlights to blind us, so there wasn't really much I could see besides the firearm itself and what I felt pressed against my back.
Okay, and you said that you think they both had black guns? Okay. Now, did you have a dog on at this time? When you were, I guess, awoken from your room, where was your dog?
He was in the hallway where he sleeps.
Okay, and did anything happen with the dog?
Yeah, my dog got hit in the face after he tried jumping up to attack one of the individuals who broke into my house.
All right, and then where did he go?
He went to my room to try to protect me.
All right. And you didn't recognize anybody who was in the home. And when you came out of the room, where was your boyfriend already on the ground? And you said they attempted to put earmuffs on you. Did you see what color those earmuffs were? And then I think you also said that somebody had their foot on your boyfriend's back.
Said yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you, ma'am.
Did that person have anything in their hands? Okay, so the person with their foot on his back had a gun in their hand, and that was one of the black guns.
Yes.
And you mentioned that there was a person with a chainsaw. That person, when you came out of the room, that person located.
I don't recall.
Okay.
Remember, the chainsaw was used as, so at that point, all four individuals were in our hallway all together.
Okay. Thank you.
I have no questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
No questions, Your Honor.
Well,
No questions.
no questions, all right. Any follow-up? No? All right, ma'am, you may step down, thank you. Maybe this witness be excused.
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection.
No objection.
Keep an eye on Slavin's court too. Just
Oh, your next witness.
see if he's
People
got
call
anything
Kenneth
in
Henderson.
or you know what I mean. Hung out in Butler County this morning, but a lot of no-shows, a lot of bail bondsmen. I'll probably turn it off right when I miss something good though. All right, so as far as PC goes, I mean, there's clearly a crime. I mean, I'm sure they just need to go in the house and pull out some. I don't want to use the word. Pull out some. Dig out the holes from within the house. But as far as the other piece to it goes, it seems like they were disguised well enough to where the witnesses didn't see any distinct features on the defendant. So I'm sure they have to pull their evidence as far regarding identities from somewhere else. Stretch on the side. Basically, what I'm saying is it's not a good start for PC.
He located someplace else in the building.
I believe he was in the front lobby, so the officer in charge is grabbing him.
Somebody's at my door.
Sir, please come forward and be sworn.
Take a seat, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to affirm the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
I proceed. State spell your first and last name for the record, please.
Kenneth Henderson, Kenneth, last name Henderson.
You may inquire.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Henderson. How are you?
Good, you?
Doing just fine. Thank you for asking. I'm going to ask you a few questions here. If at any point you can't understand me or you need me to speak up, just let me know and I can ask again, okay?
Well done.
All right. Mr. Henderson, where did you live, or did you live on Willow Road on January 4th of 2025?
Yes.
And do you remember where you were that morning?
Yes, I was down the road.
Okay. And does your house have any sort of camera system set up or anything like that?
Yes, it does.
What does it have?
So I have a Ring camera system.
Okay. On the morning of January 4th, 2025, did you ever have an occasion to see a white U-Haul?
So my camera did capture still images of the U-Haul van across the street.
And do you know what the address of the house is across the street from you?
Not per se, no, I've never really paid attention to the address.
Okay. Do you know who lives across the street from you?
I mean, I know of the people, I haven't really talked to them or anything since they lived there.
Okay. Is it possible that the house across the street from you is address 10060 Willow Road?
Probably.
Okay. And your camera overlooks that house?
Yeah, I mean, I have some of my cameras set up in the front yard and it just so happens to, capture that yard across the street as well.
All right. What time roughly did it capture this U-Haul vehicle?
I believe it was right around 8:30 in the morning.
Okay. Did you see that vehicle at any other time that day?
Yes, actually, while I was out in my hunting stand, I hunt some property on Button Road. I did see the vehicle traveling, I believe it was southbound on Button Road. I see the U-Haul van stop. It was in the middle of the road for maybe a minute or two, and then it took off again, continued southbound to Willow Road, and that's all I see of it.
So just so that way I'm understanding this correctly, Button Road runs north-south, is that correct?
Yes.
And Willow Road, is that east-west? And so if you're traveling south on Bunton, is that going towards or away from Willow Road?
That should be going towards.
Okay. And when you saw this vehicle, was that before or after your Ring camera picked it up?
I believe it was before.
Right. And you said that you were hunting. About how far away from your house were you hunting?
It was maybe 2 minutes down the road.
Okay, so pretty close to Willow Road. Were you able to see who was driving that U-Haul?
No, I only seen the van itself.
Right. Were you able to see any passengers or how many people might be inside it?
No, I did not. I could only see the van.
Okay. So is it one of those vans where like the passenger compartment is opaque, you can't see in, or did it have windows you could see through?
I honestly don't remember. I mean, it's been since January, so I don't exactly remember. I just remember seeing a U-Haul van traveling down, stopping in the middle of the road, and there for a minute or two, then took back off.
All right. One moment, please.
Yes.
Just to clarify, Mr. Henderson, when you're talking about this U-Haul, is it one of the big like box truck rentals or is it a smaller van?
Remembering back, I believe it was like a Ford Transit van, U-Haul looking one. So it looked like kind of like the Ford Transit vans, or it could have been like, the Dodge Transit vans. It was one, or, it was the ones that were like the smaller van. It wasn't the big box truck, or whatever, or correctly.
Thank you. I don't know cars, so I was about to ask you what that means, but. Right.
Yeah, it was more like a cargo van style.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Norman, any questions?
Just very briefly.
All right. Are you aware if your Ring camera records video?
So it captures still images every so often. I have it set on the timer to capture still images every like 10, 15 minutes or something. So it only picks up video once someone breaks my property ground. I have it set to do this.
Okay. And then when you saw the U-Haul on the, I forgot, was it Biddle Road? Button Road. Did you actually see that vehicle turn onto Willow?
No, I can't see it. I can't see Willow Road from where I hunt.
All right. And did you see the tag on that U-Haul, the license plate?
No, I could only see the van. I couldn't make out anything inside the van or anything else.
All right. And then on the still picture taken on your Ring camera, were you able to make out the tag on the van?
No, because when the van pulled in, I only captured the side of the van.
Okay. Do you know how many U-Haul vans are in Washtenaw County of similar makes?
I'm presuming there's a decent amount.
Okay. But you didn't see any identifying information on Button Road or on the Ring camera?
Yeah, because I was hunting a little distance off of the road, because you're not supposed to be hunting, the road. So I was a little ways off the road, so I just seen the van driving by, stop, and take off. And then, like I said, my camera only captures still images unless you break my property ground. And start recording video. So when it took the still image, it only took the side of the image.
Thank you.
I have no questions, sir.
No questions, Your Honor.
No questions. All right, any redirect?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Sir, what was your primary direction that you were facing when you were hunting? I realize you're not facing a particular direction, but
So my ladder stand faces northbound.
faces north.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Any questions based upon the court's question? All right. All right, you may step down. Thank you. May this witness be excused.
Yes, sir.
Objection.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You may call your next witness.
People would call Trooper Osborne.
Well, it's still not looking good for PC from my perspective. At least not with this group of defendants, but let's see what the officer says.
Trooper, come forward, be sworn.
Oh, he's a little guy.
Take a seat, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
See, state spell your first and last name for the record.
Tobin Osborne, TOBINOSBORNE.
All right, you may inquire.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Trooper. How are you? Doing just fine. Trooper, how are you employed?
I'm employed with the Michigan State Police,
And in what capacity are you employed by Michigan State Police?
a law enforcement officer.
How long have you been with Michigan State Police?
About 2 years.
Any previous law enforcement experience?
I do not.
Were you working for Michigan State Police on January 4th of this year?
Yes, I was.
Were you dispatched to 10060 Willow Road that day?
Yes, I was.
What were you dispatched for?
A home invasion or armed robbery.
When you arrived on the scene, what did you observe?
I was one of the last people that got there. So at that point, majority of the stuff had been dissipated and people were starting to try to figure out what had happened. So there was a lot of law enforcement there. And
Did you do any investigation related to this call?
I did.
In what capacity did you investigate this call?
I tried to determine the vehicle that was used in it by going around looking at ring camera footage.
Did you do a search of the 10060 Willow Road's house itself, or did you just search other houses?
Both.
Okay. Related to your investigation at 10060 Willow Road, what, if anything, did you obtain of evidentiary value from that house?
There were things we obtained later in the investigation process from inside the house. I don't remember everything that we seized.
If you were to see a copy of your report from this incident, would that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Showing opposing counsel the report.
So I know refresh your recollection is the proper terminology to use that question. But sometimes they'll ask repeat questions. Well, they'll say refresh your recollection over and over and over again. I just want to hear the word memory every once in a while. I know it's not as correct, but synonyms are important.
I plan on showing him. May I approach the witness to refresh his recollection with his report? Thank you.
There's two. How about we get a couple
So
more?
Trooper, I'm putting, this would be Michigan State Police Report 12-66-5. You can read the bottom of page 4 going through page 6 and let me know when you're done, okay?
All done? May I approach again, Your Honor?
You.
Thank you. Trooper, did reading that report refresh your recollection?
Yes, it is.
So going back then to the original question, what items of evidentiary value, if any, did you take from that house?
We see some metal BBs, some zip ties, a buckle swab, latent shoe prints, and some swabs of blood.
Do you remember where the BBs were found in the house?
In the upstairs hallway.
And do you remember how many BBs were found? Three?
There were BBs?
What about the blood? Where did you take that from?
That was from, I don't recall.
Would looking at the report again refresh your recollection? May I approach again, Your Honor?
You may.
Thank you.
You can just read that and let me know when you're done.
Telling you, when they use refresh your recollection, they tend to roll. Check out the collar on Simpson's shirt. He's got some pretty sweet threads.
Thank you. Is your recollection refreshed?
It is.
It counts.
Do you remember then where you took the swabs of blood from?
Yes, one was from the upstairs hallway and one was from the master bedroom.
All right. And the master bedroom is down on the second floor also?
Yes,
How about the zip tie? Where did you recover that from?
that was from the upstairs hallway.
And I believe you indicated there was latent shoe prints. How many did you discover?
There was two.
Two? And where were those located?
The upstairs hallway and the upstairs landing.
And I believe you also said that you canvassed nearby area for video. Based on your investigation, did you find any leads about a potential suspect vehicle?
I did.
What sort of vehicle did you suspect may have been involved?
A U-Haul vehicle,
All right.
a van.
And when we say a U-Haul, is that one of the big box ones or one of the smaller vans?
It'd be one of the smaller ones.
Okay.
Tempted to fast forward this.
I may have.
Me.
Just looking for any PC. They started it.
No further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Norman.
Were you involved in interviewing any of the victims? What about any of the suspects? All right. Involved in any of the subsequent part of the investigation, any search warrants, anything like that? All right. So your involvement was limited to the identification of I guess pulling the cameras from the area? All right. And after you identified what you thought was the vehicle, did you do anything further with that information?
I gave that information over to the rest of the law enforcement on scene.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Colson. Very
Questions, Aaron?
good.
Were there any fingerprints collected from the scene?
No, sir.
Any DNA?
The buckle swab.
Was that turned over to a lab of any sort?
I do not know.
So you don't have any results to bring to court today from the buckle swab?
Not that I'm aware.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions for you. Anything else? All right.
Sir, you may step down. Thank you. May this witness speak to you.
No objection, people.
No, thank you.
No objection.
No objection.
All right. Okay. All right. May call your next witness.
Thank you. The people called Trooper Lee.
All right, Trooper Lee, let's see if you got anything for us.
Come forward to be sworn.
When you take a seat, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. See, state spell your first and last name in the record, please.
Name is Patrick, Patrick, last name Lee, Leih.
May inquire.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Trooper. How are you employed?
I'm employed with Michigan State Police
And how long have you been employed with Michigan State Police?
since 2018.
And have you had any previous law enforcement experience?
I have.
And in what capacity were you employed with Michigan State Police on January 4th of 2025?
Working the road for MSP right post.
On that date, were you assisting in an investigation for an event that occurred at 10060 Willow Road?
Me and my partner were dispatched to a home invasion.
And in what capacity did you assist with that investigation?
Just assisted with investigation as far as I believe I was third on scene when I got there. Just made sure the scene was secure, and then did other investigatory searches as far as like vehicle hits and everything like that.
Referencing vehicles, at some point in your investigation, did you begin to suspect any vehicles were involved in this offense?
Yeah, it was brought to my attention that a U-Haul work van may have been used during the robbery.
Were you able to gain any additional information about that suspect U-Haul that assisted in your investigation?
Yeah, I was provided a video camera from one of the troopers on scene that he retrieved from the neighbor, and by using that video, I was able to decide that the vehicle is more than likely a Ford Transit or another U-Haul box van.
And were you able to determine what that van was doing around the time of this incident?
Yeah, the van, I believe, we were dispatched to the call around, it was like 6:26 in the morning, if I recall correctly, and then a vehicle hitting that description hit on a block camera 6 minutes later, northbound away from the scene.
And can you describe what flock is?
Yeah, block is a license plate reading system. So they're all throughout the United States, but here in Michigan, we have them at intersections, highways, everything like that. And this specific one was, I believe, maybe 7 miles from the scene.
Okay.
Well within proximity.
And about what time did you see that vehicle on the flock cameras?
It was well after we were dispatched. I don't remember the exact time I searched it. The vehicle popped up at 6:32 a.m. So 6 minutes after we were dispatched. Or yeah, so somewhere around that 6:30 time period. I don't know the exact time though.
When you were looking for this vehicle, you were able to see it, what you believe, going away from Willow Road. Is that correct?
Correct.
Was there any camera footage showing it going towards the Willow Road address?
Any video of it going towards? Yeah, no, I didn't see any prior that day anyway going towards.
When you observed this vehicle, this U-Haul on the flock camera, were you able to get a license plate number for it?
Yes.
Do you remember that plate number?
I remember the plate number. I remember the Arizona plate though, which is pretty consistent with U-Hauls.
Okay. Would reviewing your police report refresh your recollection as to the plate number?
It would.
Showing opposing counsel his report. May I approach with the report to refresh his recollection?
You may.
Thank you. And for the record, this is incident 1266-25 supplemental report 2. You can take a look at that, read it, and let me know what you've done. Done?
Yeah.
Is your recollection refreshed?
Yes.
Do you remember what the plate number on that suspect U-Haul was?
Yeah, what I ran that day was like Adam Mary 60366, if I recall from the report.
And when you say Adam Mary, that's your way of remembering A and M?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever make contact with U-Haul regarding that vehicle?
I did. I called a local distributor. And whoever I spoke to over there was able to provide me to rent to that.
All right. When you were observing this U-Haul apparently leaving the scene, were there any other vehicles with it?
I don't know.
Okay. Believe, well, strike that. If I can have just 1 second, please.
You may.
Trooper, I believe your previous testimony was that you picked up this hit on the flock cameras about 6 something odd in the morning. Is that correct testimony?
Correct.
Isn't it true that you were dispatched at closer to 8 o'clock that day?
Sustained.
When were you dispatched to the venue that day?
It would, I don't remember the exact time. If I saw the report, I would reflect. I know it was January report, I believe.
May I approach in order to show him the report to refresh his
You
recollection?
may.
Just read that and let me know when you are done reading.
Yes.
Trooper, do you remember now what time you were dispatched to go to that house?
Yeah, it was always 26 hours.
All right, so after 6:26. So that 6:26, is that accurate as to when you observed this vehicle?
No.
Do you remember then what time you actually observed the vehicle?
Yeah, it would have been, well, I don't remember exactly when I observed the vehicle. When it hit the flock camera, it was approximately 6 minutes after the time we were dispatched.
So then if you're dispatched at 8:26, that's 08:32? Okay. No further questions at this time. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Norman.
Oh,
Were you involved in any interviews of any witnesses on the scene?
originally, yeah, when I just got like, during the initial scene observation, I spoke to a few of the witnesses on scene.
All right, do you know who you spoke to?
And if I review the report, I would be, in recollection, there was a male and female that resided at the house.
Okay, and at that time, were you equipped with a body camera?
Yes,
Okay, and would it have been recording?
it should have been recorded, yes.
Okay. I think you also said that you initially got a video from a neighbor. You did not, well, you saw a video that had been obtained from a neighbor.
Yeah.
But you had a chance to look at that video.
Yeah, my partner showed or shared the video with us, and I was able to review it.
All right, and were you able to identify a tag number on that video for the U-Haul?
Nope, just side profile.
Excuse me. And were you able to identify any other identifying numbers on that U-Haul?
I don't recall. No, it's just that it was a U-Haul.
All right, and then the U-Haul that you were able to obtain a tag number from was 7 miles away from the scene.
Yeah, after the fact.
All right. And did you ever have any conversations with U-Haul?
Yeah, I spoke to the distributors because they will provide who runs the U-Haul.
All right, the one that you got the tag number for.
I obtained the tag number for the block.
All right. Did you, when you spoke to U-Haul, did you ask them or inquire from them how many Ford Transit U-Haul vans they had rented on January 4th?
No, I know they rented it the day before, so it would have been January 3rd.
Okay. What did you get any information about any other rentals of Ford Transit vans for the 3rd or the 4th? Okay, thank you.
Go, Sam.
I just want to make sure I've got it clear. The dispatch comes at 8:26.
Yes.
Do you know when the dispatch came relative to when the 911 call was received by the 911 operator?
No, I don't.
Usually pretty quickly though, right?
Just depends on whether they're able to, yeah. Usually in a situation like that, especially the degree of the call, they would put that out pretty quick. I think it's like rapidly evolving as I was like making my way towards that area.
All right, and as part of your job, you looked at what you call the flock system.
Yes.
And what the flock system is a series of cameras that record vehicles passing by.
Yes.
And hopefully getting, from your perspective, hopefully getting pictures of the license plates.
Yes.
Okay. The system isn't keyed to a particular vehicle, is it? So when you're looking at the flock system, that I assume it was not that day, but after, what was it that caused you to focus in on that particular vehicle?
As far as so within the system, without having a plate, you're able to put in like description features like U-Haul typically rents out either Fords or Dodges, especially like in a van aspect. So I was able to search make, model of all those and then just kind of correlate what time frame made sense. So from the time we were dispatched to the time that this hits in a nearby camera would, from a trooper standpoint, be a good starting point to probably investigate.
And you said it was it hit at a point approximately 7 miles from the local.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you describe the roads between the Willow Road address and that flock camera?
Yeah, it was 2 roads. It was, you would have to first head east and then north, and then you would eventually hit the camera.
Okay, are we talking about expressways? Are we talking about 2-lane roads?
Country roads.
Country roads. Any traffic control signals, stoplights, yield signs?
Between there, I'd have to look exactly, but I believe that first intersection would have a stop sign. And then north from there may be 1 or 2 lights, but that would be going back and looking at exactly.
Okay. So your testimony then, to the best of your knowledge, is that a vehicle went approximately 7 miles in approximately 6 minutes on 2-lane roads with traffic control signals.
Very possibly, yes.
Did you notice, okay, you wouldn't have noticed other vehicles that would have passed that flock point because you put in parameters, correct?
What do you mean parameters?
You put in specific information you were looking for. In other words, if I had driven by in a black Cadillac, it wouldn't have come up because you didn't put in. Oh, okay. And of course, you can't tell us who was in that vehicle when it passed that point.
Nope, just you back in the vehicle for the most part, maybe a side image.
Nothing further, Your Honor?
No questions, Your Honor.
No questions, John. All right. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Every day.
May this witness be excused.
No objection to people.
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection.
No objection. No objection. All right. Very good. You may call your next witness.
People would call Ryan Howe.
Sir, please come forward and be sworn.
Take a seat, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. State your first and last name for the record, please.
Ryan Paul, RYANHAUGH.
All right, you may inquire.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. I believe I mispronounced your name, so I apologize for that. Sir, how are you employed?
Through house arrest services.
And what is that service?
We're an electronic monitoring company.
And do you work with law enforcement agencies?
We do. We provide electronic monitoring equipment such as tethers, to monitor clients that are released from jail.
And specifically, do you know if your service has a tether for an individual by the name of Jermond Matthews?
That is correct.
All right. Have you ever personally met Mr. Matthews?
I have not.
Can you describe to the court how your tether monitoring service works as far as how often it picks up geolocation data?
The device is assigned protocols to pick up a GPS location every 60 seconds.
Okay. And is that maintained or recorded somewhere?
That is correct. The servers from the manufacturer generate and record all that information.
In your employment, are you able
Why didn't they start with this guy?
to access those records or view them?
Yes.
Are you someone who has control over those records?
Control, no. The records are generated through the software.
Okay. So these records are generated automatically and then get stored. How does someone go about accessing them?
It's a request that would be coming through. Request would come in for a time or a date in which the software will generate the reports of the tether information.
And did you ever request any information for Jermond Matthews?
I did not.
All right. Did you ever view any report information for Jermond Matthews?
Yes, I did.
And specifically, did you view information from January 4th of 2025?
That's correct.
All right. And the record that is produced, is that something that your company or service keeps in the regular course of business?
Absolutely.
I'm showing defense counsel what's been marked as people's proposed exhibit number 1. May I approach?
You may.
Sir, I'm putting in front of you what's been marked as people's proposed exhibit number 1. If you could take a look at that and tell me, do you recognize the document that I just handed to you?
I did.
And can you tell the court what that document is?
This document is the tether information from the client that has been generated on January 4th. That is once again just generated through the software by entering dates and time.
And looking at this document, is this a fair and accurate representation of the data that would be received if someone filed or submitted a request for that GPS location data?
That's correct.
Your Honor, I move to admit what's been marked as people's proposed exhibit 1.
Any objection or water?
Objection.
Objection. No, objection.
All right, exhibit 1 is admitted.
Thank you. Looking at this document, sir, can you, I guess, since the court doesn't have a copy, I do have a copy for the court if the court would like one now.
It would probably be helpful looking at little dots.
May I approach?
All right, thank you. Thank you. Let's blow it up down. Yeah.
So, sir, as you look at that information, it's sort of broken up into like date, time, and then there's an address also. Do you see that?
Correct.
Can you go to the date and time that would be January 4th of this year with the timestamp being 8:07 in the morning?
Just double-sided.
Yes, it is. I apologize. I was trying not to waste paper.
Sure the trees are happy.
Here, trace 146 at 8:07 a.m.
And just so that way it's easier for everyone else to follow along, what page of the report is that on?
It is.
An event number, 5 from the back. And what's the event number on that, sir?
Number 146.
Thank you.
And based off of that tether information, are you able to determine where Jermond Matthews was at the time indicated on that report? Or at least were you able to indicate where that tether was at that time?
Correct. At 146, it was a high confidence trace, which means the device is accurate up to 3 to 5 feet. At 8:07 a.m., I have 10067 Willow Road, Willis, Michigan, 48191.
And going through that, looks like there's a few different traces there that indicates the device is on Willis Road. I'm looking at, looks to go up, or sorry, Willow Road.
Doing statements, asking what data shows that it's stating.
Yeah, I think he was trying to get to that question. I understand the objection all over. Will it go ahead with your question?
So between the trace that you just pointed out to the court and the last trace on Willow Road, how many traces is that?
This is approximately
And on the right-hand column, it shows a couple different addresses. How precise is the tether itself?
the device itself is accurate in high confidence traces, which is the column there that expresses fixed quality. Those are high confidence traces in which the device has more than 7 satellites working together to hold that trace and generate that point. And the reason for the discrepancy in the precise address is the device goes off of how GPS works, is it'll go off of mailboxes. So depending how close you are in proximity to said mailboxes on a lot, it can vary as far as the address.
Okay, so there's some sort of variance in terms of which specific address.
It goes off of mailboxes. So what if they live in like an apartment complex where all the mailboxes are, down by some central area, like a clubhouse?
It attributes to, but the location itself you're saying is how precise?
Accurate to 3 to 5 feet.
Okay. After 8:23 a.m., that would be event number 161, or sorry. Yeah, 161. Are you able to track where the device goes at that point?
From trace 161, going from there, we have the device on 11550 Burton Road in Willis, Michigan. On the very next trace, trace 163 at 8:25 a.m., we have the device at 10508 Bunton Road in Willis, Michigan. At trace 164 at 8:26 a.m. we have 9364 Bunton Road. Trace 165 at 8:27 a.m. we have it at 8551 Bunton Road.
I'm gonna pause you there just because there's hundreds of these. I don't need you to go through all of them. Drawing your attention specifically to 8:32 that morning, are you able to determine based off of this document where the device was at that time?
At 8:32 a.m. would be trace 170 high confidence trace, and the device was located 5737 Rawsonville Road, Ypsilanti Township, 48198.
And then jumping a bit away. Are you able to determine when that device returns to 19957, I believe it's Rogue Street in Detroit? And specifically, I'm looking at page 7 of this document.
When you say, excuse me, sir, when you say page 7, do you have page numbers on yours?
I apologize, this does not have page numbers on it because the original did not. I did not want to make alterations to it. It's event number 612.
Thank you.
Yes, and event number 612, they have copy trace at 4:09 PM and the device appeared on 19957 Rogue Street, Detroit, Michigan, 48234.
And based off of this record, it appears to stay there until about 5:33, well, about 5:31. That's event 692. Is that correct?
I have it at 699. It's still on Rogue Street until trace 699 at 5:33 PM, and that appears to be on 298 now.
And then just going back to the very front page of that cover with what looks to be a map on it, can you describe what's displayed on that portion of the report?
What this is a snapshot of all of the timestamps and GPS locations that were generated through that device. At that time, it basically just showed a breadcrumb trail of everywhere that device talked to the satellites and reported the information to the satellite towers.
Okay. I may have 1 second, please.
I mean, there's your PC right now for at least one of the defendants. So here's the map that drew you all the way to the victim's house, how long you stayed there, and the map all the way back. Now, you just need PC on the other 3, which I'm sure is probably linked in some police testimony from the ankle monitor guy. Or girl, I don't know which one had the ankle monitor. Gotta love faces. Yeah, there's. And it's not just Simpson. This dude right here. He's good on the faces. I'm guessing the law student or this probably might be somebody's assistant right there. Every once in a while, she's got some faces. Who doesn't have faces? This guy, he's just kind of peering around. She's just like a stone. Yeah, he's stretching. Let's look at the cop. Oh, sorry. One of the cops is stretching. How often do we get to see the prosecution hang out in the
Sir, when
juror's
you
box?
are querying these records, how do you search up an individual?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. What information do you have to put in to get the tether data for a specific person or a specific device?
The information, once it is entered into the software, is a live running software. And then if there are specific things that would like to be highlighted or report generated, you just have to enter in the criteria, dates, times, locations, things like that.
When you are looking at a device, do you see the individual to whom that device is assigned, their date of birth, or any other personal identifying information of that individual?
Correct. There is a profile that is created at the time of enrollment, and in this case with the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. The profile is then generated, a device is assigned to that profile. Once that device is assigned to that profile, then an officer from the Wayne County Sheriff's Office then places that device on that client office, and that's how the device gets assigned to their profile and kept in duration.
So we have this record that is or the device is attributed to Jermond Matthews. Is there any other information that you know of as to which Jermond Matthews this device was attributed to?
It would have to be this individual here that was assigned a specific device number. In this case, it was D0 122941. And this device, once it's assigned to that client, that stays with that client.
Okay.
The activation.
Going back to the report again, and I'm trying to find the exact event number just to make it a little easier here. I believe the report indicates, or I'll phrase this differently. Does your report ever indicate the device being near Biddle Street in Romulus? I'm looking at the event 179.
Well, yes, it's here.
It's accurate. The device did register a trace did register a point at trace 179 at 8:41 a.m. to a 9508 Biddle Street, Romulus, Michigan.
It's all from the board. It's all from the board, the document.
I'll speed this up a little bit. Should have done it a while ago.
I'm just one second. And specifically, does the document show whether or not the device was ever at 9345 Biddle Street in Romulus?
Dang. I don't know. I can't play this whole thing. I was hoping that there would be some drama in here based on how everything started, but I might have to just send you over to Simpson's docket to watch the rest of this, or do it in pieces.
9345 Biddle Street in Romulus.
How about let's start it like this. Let's skim through this witness. I mean, we know that the guy has an ankle monitor. They're gonna trace the ankle monitor to the house or right next to the house, and they're gonna trace it for a period of time. At least evidence behind that dude. God, imagine how long this trial's gonna be. Now let's see if we can. Well, real quick, let's see if we can single him out based on his lawyer.
This trace will come in as a medium confidence trace just to do further investigation.
All right. And you testified that those traces would be accurate up to 3 to 5 feet. Is that correct? All right. So
of a mailbox.
In the points that you've shown, let's go to, I believe it's
Simpson's faces. Oh, maybe I should put it on 2.
So we're gonna go with traces
Let's put it on 2. No, let's do 1.5.
146.
Did you say 146?
Yeah, 146. Actually, 145 too. So starting with 145, going through 161. Do you have that information before you?
I do.
There are addresses listed as locations, is that correct?
Correct.
And not one single location is 10060, is it?
No, it is not.
You don't have anything to show that the tether was within 3 to 5 feet of 10060, do you?
This report, no.
Okay. You also talked about
What about the whole mailbox argument? Maybe I shouldn't have skipped out. Oh,
the
never
red
mind. I didn't.
trace, is that right? Okay. And that indicates that the tether is moving from place to place, is that right?
Right.
All right. You don't have anything to say, well, I assume by the speed with which the different points show up. It's probably not somebody walking, right?
Correct. It does say which the speed was.
Yes, it's probably a vehicle of some sort.
Uh,
Unless they're running that fast, would you, in your professional opinion, think someone could hit all these points running
Hit all those points running in my professional.
in that time period? Probably not. It's safe to say it's probably a vehicle. You wouldn't argue that, would you?
Some of them, this is from a very panned-out perspective. If it was more zoomed in, Tracy would be able to see if the device was stationary, if it was in motion, and then the device once again will also register as if it is straddling and what speed it is straddling.
All right.
This is just from basically 1,000.
All right. So assuming that is, let's say it is. There's nothing about this that says whether or not the person wearing the tether was driving the vehicle or riding in the vehicle, is there? If the person was asleep in the back of the vehicle, nothing in this information would differentiate that from a person actually being awake in the vehicle with it.
No.
If the person was asleep in the back seat of that vehicle, or the person with the tether was in the back seat of that vehicle the whole time from trace 1, wherever the first Willow Street trace is, to the last trace, or even to the Biddle Street trace. There's nothing in this information that would differentiate that, tell you whether they're awake, asleep, involved, or anything. Okay. So you don't have any information to present to this court today that the person who had this tether, whoever that may have been, was within 3 to 5 feet of 1060 Willow. Is that correct?
This information that was generated here is just this is where the device was and at those times.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Hold on.
Are you saying within 3 to 5 feet? Within 5 feet.
3 to 5.
5. Okay, that's what I want to make sure of. And sir, you also talked about mailboxes. So you'll get a different address reading from the GPS. Is it really based on the mailbox, or is it based on something else?
It's really based on the mailboxes, so it's an approximation as far as where those mailboxes are and where you are located to those mailboxes. So if you were closer over to your neighbor's house, let's just say if you were at address 100 and your neighbor next to you is at address 102, and then you were more towards there, it can show you the address was 101 because it's taking an approximation into the mailboxes. So that's why when you have even these numbers on here like 10069, but the address is actually 10060, that just means that that's where you were and on the lot in accordance to the next number. So the next address.
Okay.
So it's still within that proximity, within that range. And even in this, in the instance of this, Your Honor, if we were to take a zoom in snapshot of the address, you would get a better idea because you can see the dot popping over here closer to this address is going to be different from the dot popping over here that's closer to that address. And then every once in a while, you have somebody that is right next to it and it'll give you that exact.
So if someone has a lot, let's say that's 300 feet wide, whatever, they have a wide lot and their mailbox is located on one side of that lot. They're to the other side of that lot, but maybe closer to the next mailbox. Their location will show up at that next mailbox.
It could be closer to that address.
It could be closer to that address than it would the actual address they actually may be at. The actual. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Brown. I know you have questions.
Oh, yes. I wouldn't be me if I did. So there are several different addresses on Willow Street that pop up, right?
On the Willow Street?
Yes.
Numbers, yes.
Yeah. So, and those are addresses. Those pertain to local. When you say locations, and I'm talking about numbers, I'm talking about addresses, right? Is that what you understand me to be saying?
I'm sorry.
You understand me to be saying that under location, have those numbers 100, whatever you have. Those are the addresses of the homes. Is that right?
Those are not the exact addresses. Those are approximations of location.
Okay, well, approximations of locations. There are several approximations of locations that pop up in that information. Is that right? But not a single one of them is 10060.
Correct.
All right, and no, that's it. That's all I got. Thank you. Out of curiosity, what happens when mailboxes are bundled in one area?
And that is a great question. So when you have apartment complexes, that's why it can be excused to say that you have the mailboxes that you are registering. When we are entering zones into softwares and we put, the address that we get from the court, and it's an apartment complex. Well, the apartment complex address, if you
I mean, I asked the question earlier.
are here, they could be in the building over here. So we then have to make assessments and adjust accordingly from there. So that's how great.
Got it. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Any questions based upon the court's question? All right. You almost were going to get out of here, guys.
Sir, the court asked you some questions about tying a specific individual to a specific device. I believe you indicated that you can see like a picture, date of birth, some other information. Is that correct? Did you view the picture associated with the Jermond Matthews to whom the device that we're talking about was assigned?
I did not.
Okay. Did you view his date of birth, anything like that?
I did not view his profile.
When you view the data for this device, it spits out that location that we talked about with the mailboxes. Are you able to view the exact, or I guess the actual like GPS location of that device at that time?
Yes.
Did you view that data for this device between 8:06 and 8:23?
I did.
And the actual GPS data for that device, where did it show that that device was?
At the address of 10060.
So for that 17-minute span, even though the location in the report is different, the actual GPS was at 10060. Is that correct?
That was the address. Was that correct?
Okay. 1 second, please, Your Honor.
Was
that something that the witness has viewed that I don't have a report of, or I am looking at defense counsel? Is there something that tells me that? I mean, not that I'm disbelieving this witness, but I'm handed a report that there was a specific question that was asked whether or not that address appears. It doesn't appear on this report, but I'm to understand that it appears on something else.
My understanding, and perhaps I can ask the witness some questions to clarify that. Sir, when you view the GPS data for a device, what all do you receive or can you see as information?
So the standard daily reports is what is generated in front of us. Those are just everyday operations as far as tether goes. But what we can do is obviously, this is once again from a 1,000-foot level at a 12-hour stretch. We can narrow our information, what is displayed on our screen down. So I can take up that time from 8:06 a.m. to 8:23 a.m. and completely zoom in on the residents, on the clients. I can zoom in, I can click on each trace in that instance to see diagnostics that are going on with it, how fast it was traveling. But then that is from maybe 50-foot level to where this is from a 1,000-foot level, and that's why it looks as broad as it does. But when we zoom in and or narrow down the search, we can get very, very in tight and very specific.
So essentially, you have different scales of precision you can go to. This report that we have in front of you today is the zoomed out version of that report?
That is correct, because of the fact that the device traveled as far as it did and to fit it all into one page, it has to zoom out to this. But if we were to say a 20-minute as opposed to a 12-hour report, then you would have very specific zoomed in points into that.
And when this data was requested, did they request that whole day time span that's indicated at the top of the report?
I believe the request went to the sergeant, the OIC.
Okay. Did that answer the court's question?
It did, but I guess what I'm trying to figure out is if I have a specific, I'm here with a case involving a specific address. If there's something that shows me, assuming, well, two things. One, I'm assuming this.
You got a report, shows these breadcrumbs, but then you tell me something different. So I need some paperwork showing me the thing that you just told me that was different. That's what he's trying to say.
Report connects to one of the individuals, but do not know that. Because I don't have the identifiers they're talking right on this one.
Correct.
I'm also assuming that this report would dictate that if the testimony of the first witnesses, that there is a report that's going to tell me that the individual with this tether was at that 11 or was it 1006 for at least a half an hour period or maybe 20 minutes. There's something that's going to tell me. I don't know that this tells me that with any precision.
If I may ask the witness,
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Mr. Cook, bottom line, why don't I have that?
I mean, that's my question. My question is, and yeah, I have no reason to doubt anything this gentleman's telling me, and I think he's absolutely telling me what I know in terms of how these systems operate.
Right?
I'm wondering why I don't have the identifying information that attaches one of these defendants to this tether, one. And number two, why I don't have a report that gives me, at least for that period in time that the first witnesses were talking about, that detailed level of exactly where that tether was.
Regarding the identifying information, my understanding is that's something that a later witness is going to testify to,
Okay,
from Wayne County. Regarding the report, I can see if we have an easily, I guess the word I use is an easy way to print off that specific detailed version of the report. I gave the court this version because I thought it was the easiest to quickly compile and digest as a report.
I appreciate you making it easy for me, but there's something that, I'll let you go in a second, but there's something that happens at a specific address. There is something that I'm being told would indicate to me that this tether, which I assume is going to connect to somebody, is at that specific address. This does not tell me that. So I appreciate the favor, but this does me no good.
Understood, Your Honor.
Well, plus, up until this point, you've given me no PC. Now you almost have it. I mean, you've given me PC that a crime has occurred, but you haven't given me PC that any of these defendants have committed this crime. Now you're close to doing it, but you tell me that you have this piece of evidence, and you've got some dots that show you that you're right next to it, and you tell me that it's there, but you're not showing me that it's there. He's like, I want to rule on PC, but you just don't have it yet.
I thought Mr. Brown wanted to speak, so
Yeah, he always does, but go ahead.
I'm going to pass it.
Wow. Okay.
If I might have 1 second, please, Your Honor.
Yes.
Your Honor, would the court allow a quick 5-minute recess?
I'll do even better than that because we've been going on a little over 2 hours here. I'm halfway through your witnesses. Got to give my staff a break. So, what do you have? 144. We'll come back at 2:30. So 45-minute break. Everybody get well. Let some people. All right. Thank you.
I think I was muted the whole time. I said something. Whatever. Court's in recess. Judge does not have his PC. We can fast forward a lot now, finally. Let's see. Jeez.
Square box in the middle indicating the residence with the address assigned to that residence through Google, which in this case is 10060 Willow Road. And on the left is the timestamp in which the device took a snapshot and presented that or sent that to the cellular towers in order for us to view software.
Now, there's some little blue dots on that right-hand map. What are those dots?
Those dots are the snapshots that the device registered at the time.
And it looks like one of those is a larger dot with sort of some.
Okay, it sounds like they may have come back with some more data that is aligning with what Judge Simpson was asking for. But let's play along and see what happens.
Waves flaring off of it. What causes that to happen?
That is a cluster that are basically on top of each other and representing that there are 9 traces, each trace representing 1 minute, so that there are 9 traces directly on top of each other inside of that circle.
And looking at the map again, it looks like there's one dot sort of on the edge on the right-hand side. Do you know what might cause that?
That's just an indicator of where the client was at that time.
And looking at these, do you know what time the tether was tracking for these data points?
For these data points, the only one that that stands out is the large blue dot, and it didn't get highlighted. It's very light in the print here, but the larger blue dot that is just on the edge of the square right there was highlighted through here to indicate that that dot correlated with that timestamp.
Which dot specifically are you referring to?
There's a little bit larger blue one that's just on the edge.
Okay.
If we were looking at it to the right of it, that little larger blue one means that that would be the trace that was highlighted, but the highlight didn't come from.
All right. And what does that mean if it's highlighted?
It just represents that that trace represents that exact timestamp in the song.
And do you know what date that trace is from, or what time that trace is from?
It would indicate exactly what time in here. This right now, the report shows a sample size that started off on 11/3 at 11:51 p.m. and ended on 1/3, and it went to 1/4 at 11:51 a.m. So that is the time sample that's in there. So that would indicate that those dots were generated within that time.
Okay. Looking at the data on the left, specifically trace ID, it looks like it begins at the top at 2:05 and goes down to 2:14. Are those reflected on the map or are those separate data points?
Those are the ones that are reflected on.
Okay. So the ones on the map are from between 8:20 a.m. and 8:10 a.m. because that's sort of the frame that we're looking at here?
Correct.
All right. Showing defense counsel's remarks as people proposed exhibit 4. May I approach witness?
You may.
Sir, I'm handing this remark as people's proposed exhibit 4 and I'm handing the court a copy as well. Sir, do you recognize this document that I put in front of you?
Yes.
What is that document?
This is another document that is generated with software that shows tracking page.
Okay. And do you know where specifically this location is that it's tracking?
This looks like the location on Middle Street.
And is this a fair and accurate representation of the GPS records as you have them?
Yes.
And people move to admit with remarks to proposed exhibit number 4 into evidence.
Any objection of what?
Okay.
Exhibit 4 is admitted.
And so, sir, looking at this, are these data points on the map similar to the ones from the previous exhibit where that's the actual snapshot?
Yes, they're all generated with the software.
Okay. And what address does it appear that it's pinging at on this map?
It would be 9345 Middle Street in Romulus, Michigan.
Looking on the left, that location data where it indicates, I believe it's Washington Street. Are those data points on the left the same data points that are correlated to on the right?
They could be different, and it indicates they are. It looks like those timestamps are correlated with this. So long story short, the map can represent something different from the timestamps. You can still scroll through timestamps, and in this case, it would have to be that way due to being on Middle Street, and it doesn't look like the officer scrolled through the timestamps to make them accurately reflect the snapshot.
Do you know what range of time these pieces or these data points were tracked?
Yes, they were between January 4th, 2025 at 7:35 a.m. until January 4th, 2025 until 10:10 a.m. Those points, each of them being displayed on here, would have been generated during that time.
And are these points the same as the ones on the previous map where each point represents a 1-minute snapshot?
That is it.
1 second, please, Your Honor. No further questions at the time. Thank you.
Norman. So goes.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something I do quite often, just like my ignorance. I'm looking, let me show you the document I'm looking at. Okay, just so we're looking at the same document. You indicated that the blue dots on the right correlate to the information that's on the left. Is that correct? Okay, and you show on the right, I'm sorry, your equipment shows on the right a number of dots which seem to be at 10060 Willow Road, correct? Now, would you look at the locations on the left side, the left half, and there are 3 different addresses listed there, aren't there?
Correct.
Okay, but yet all these dots are at the same address on the other side of the road.
I'm sorry.
Isn't it showing that these dots are at one location, not 3 locations, and they're on opposite sides of the road?
I don't understand. Yes.
Well, wouldn't you assume if you have a location that the last number is an even number, and you have a location the last number is an odd number, those would be on opposite sides of the road, correct?
Well, it would be an approximation up and down the street as far as.
But no, my specific question, sir, is wouldn't you assume that if you have an address that ends in an even number and an address that ends in an odd number, that those are going to be on opposite sides of the road?
I've never confirmed the determination itself.
Oh, can you tell me anywhere you've ever been where, in the United States, not in other countries, where even numbers and odd numbers are on the same side of the street? So why don't you just then answer my question? That even numbers and odd numbers probably represent opposite sides of the street.
Even numbers and odd numbers in Michigan, as far as I know, represent outside of the street.
Okay, but your little diagram shows these dots located at 10060 Willow Road, but the list on the left side, and you say the 2 things correlate, these are all odd numbered addresses. Okay, would you explain that?
It's just an approximation that's generated through the mailboxes where the devices.
Yeah, but you talked about 3 to 5 feet, right? And the example you gave were 2 locations next to each other, 100 and 102. Do you remember that example that you gave us? Okay. But now we're not talking about 2 houses that are next to each other, where you could be standing on the lot line and right near the mailbox. You're talking about something across the street, across a right of way, correct?
It's measured in between numbers on the mailboxes.
Yeah, and these are further apart because they're on opposite sides of the street.
The odd number doesn't give an approximation as to what side of the street.
It doesn't give an approximation as to what side of the street. I thought we just determined that odd numbers and even numbers, if I may use a word which has gone out of favor in this country, are segregated by the side of the street. Isn't that true? Isn't that what you just said like not 2 minutes ago?
They are.
So the fact of the matter is that you really can't draw any conclusions when you've got dots that say 0 and numbers that say odd numbers. They don't really correlate, do they? Because they're on opposite sides of the street.
That's not that.
It's not. Okay, would you explain how it's not?
It's in between mailboxes. So if the number is in between that, it's an approximation even on that side of the road, which can still be off as far as trying to figure out the approximation, how close that device is to something.
Okay, so you're telling me then on the list on the left, this picked up the nearest mailbox to where the device was, correct? Well, are you telling me that on each one of these, the device was moving? Because you got 6-7, you got 5-6, you got 6-3, you got 7-3. Does that mean that between each one of those, the device is moving?
That's what that is.
It's moving down the road. It's not staying at 10060. It's moving down the road. So the person who had that device on his ankle is not inside that one location the entire time. Is that what you're telling us?
No, that is that person that every time that they do move, the number changes as far as the longitude and latitude.
But it's going to pick up the nearest mailbox.
It'll approximate in between mailboxes.
Yeah. And so it's going from 10056 to 10073. No further questions.
I think he hit his PC, at least on this defendant. But it's a pretty good argument. I mean, the mailbox thing makes it a little tricky, or it might even make it easier.
The answer to that was yes. Got it. Thank you. Any other?
And by the way, I looked it up. It's extremely rare for even numbers and odd numbers to be on the same side of the street. It just so happens that it happens in my neighborhood, but just in one little section of it because of like a roundabout type of deal, not a cul-de-sac. It's hard. It's more like they're on the same side, but the street rounds.
Other question?
God, I didn't mean to do that. No. Anyway. Okay, I got it. I got it. Let's see what this guy's gonna say. So the street rounds where there's no other units across the street, so that's why it happens in my neighborhood.
The large blue dot is actually the underneath there where it says trace 203. The box is located right behind the picture is. So the blue dot indicates that trace 203 is displayed. That's what the larger dot. So that's the information for trace 203. But on this, it's only displayed as the 205.
And over what period of time is this graphic, this map showing? From when to when?
Showing between January 3rd, 2025 at 11:51 p.m. until January 4th, 2025 at 11:51 p.m.
So you testified earlier using this information, not this information. Okay. That when it said fixed quality, that it was high, right? Right? Within 3 to 5 feet. Is that right? So did you look at a map to determine how close any of these addresses might be? Do you have any idea, for example, how close 1073 is to 10067? Do you know if these are individual homes or houses?
No.
Do you know if there are yards in between these homes or houses?
The standard for PC is not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a preponderance of evidence, which is basically 51%. They're close to it with this, but there's enough argument on this GPS data. I think they have enough right here, at least for this one guy, but I might skip forward a little bit because I think all these attorneys are going to make the same argument.
It's 4 yards. Okay, so you know there are apartment complexes.
I was not. I did see that as a residence. It was a home.
A residence. And so when you think of a residence, or when you saw it as a residence, you saw a freestanding house. Okay, and were there other houses around that house?
I did not see.
So you just saw the one freestanding house. You didn't see any. Where did we sworn?
I'm going fast forward. I was like, she's walking fast.
State spells your first last name for the record.
Shane, Lee, SHANE.
Thank you. Go ahead. You may go.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you? Doing just fine. Thank you for asking. Ma'am, how are you employed?
I'm a general manager of the Ace.
And were you employed in the same capacity back in January of this year?
Yes.
Specifically on January 3rd through 5th, were you employed in that capacity?
Yes.
Can you describe to the court what your responsibilities are as general manager of that U-Haul?
I run the store. Customer service. I rent trucks. I rent trailers. I dispense propane. I make our bitches. Wiring.
Okay. And does your store keep records of who rents vehicles from you?
Yes.
And are those kept in the ordinary course of business?
It's online.
What are those records that you make for your business purposes? Okay. If you saw some of those records, would you be able to recognize them? Showing defense counsel Marcus Stevens proposed exhibit 5. May I approach the witness? Ma'am, I'm handing you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 5 as well as court. Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
Can,
A return receipt for me.
okay. And is this the type of record that your business creates? And is it a fair and accurate representation of that record? People move to admit what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 5 into evidence.
You're not going to object until I have an opportunity to cross examine.
All right. Anybody else have any idea or objection to this?
No, thank you.
No, objection.
No, thank you.
All right. I will withhold my ruling on its admissibility pending cross-examination. But go ahead, you may ask about it.
Thank you. So, ma'am, looking at this document, does it display when this document was created?
Yes.
When was that?
3/25.
And is that 7:50 p.m. where it says rental date and time? Is that what we're reading from? Okay. And is that the time then that the vehicle was checked out, or what does that time mean? Okay. And does this document determine, or does it say who checked that vehicle out?
I'm going to object. This document is a hearsay document. Just like with the documents we had before on the tether, it may have a name on it, but that doesn't tell you who checked it out. Unless she's going to say she's the one that actually created this document and handled the transaction.
Well, why wouldn't this fit into the hearsay exception?
It may fit into the hearsay exception, I don't agree, but it may, but it's still, then it's not relevant because it doesn't tie to any of the defendants in this case. It's a piece of.
Well, he added the GPS data as part of his objection, but they didn't object to him introducing the GPS data in the first place. But he's objecting to this one, and then circling back to the GPS data.
Piece of paper with a name on it. How do we know that the name on there, how that name got there?
But does that that would really go to the weight to be given as opposed to its admissibility?
Well, I think on 4.401, it goes to admissibility, Judge. It's not relevant. Unless they can tie it to one of these defendants.
I think that's what Mr. Cook is intending about doing. I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead, you can continue.
Thank you. So I believe the question that was asked was, does this document tell you who checked the vehicle out? And who checked this vehicle out? And is that the name listed under customer name? And when you rent a vehicle out to an individual, what information do you get from them for your records so that you know you have the right person?
Name, address, the driver's license. You have to scan it.
So you have to scan their actual driver's license in order to rent a vehicle out to them? And the address to which.
I object to that. That's leading.
What's leading?
He said their actual driver's license. That's assuming a fact which is not in evidence. It's leading. She can say that they're supposed to produce a driver's license. How can she say whose driver's license it is unless she's the one that handled the transaction?
She didn't.
She can say what's supposed to happen.
He didn't, I should say.
She can't say what actually happened in this particular case.
Well, those would be two different objections. One I would overrule, one I may sustain, just in terms of the form of the question. I can read, when you get a driver's license from the individual who's checking it out, what do you do with that driver's license?
Of course, we make sure that it's the actual person from the picture.
So how do you do that? You look at them, you look at the picture, right? Okay, then what do you do?
Then we get the current address and we to address, and then the next screen is the scan.
Okay, when you say you scan it, what type of scanning is that?
It's just uploading it to the contract.
So what are you uploading? The actual driver's license? A picture of the driver's license? Okay, so it's not like when I'm buying allergy medicine. It's not where you're scanning the barcode on the back. You're actually taking the physical license, scanning it, and then that scan goes where?
To the contract. So, in our system.
Okay, so let me ask you this. This document here, is there more to this document?
This is the return receipt. So there's an in and then there's an out.
Gotcha.
It shows in, so there's an out receipt, which would be when they first come in.
Say that again.
This is the in receipt and then there's an out. So the out would be when they first come in and rent the vehicle, and then the in would be when they return.
Okay, so this is the in receipt.
The return, yes. Yep.
So there is an out receipt or an out set of documents. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know GPS better than I know. That document, the other document, is the one that would have the scan of the license.
So it would show on their paperwork or anything, it would be in our system.
It would be in your system. Okay. Who has access to those documents?
Whoever works for you.
Well, Jack, that's you, right? Okay, so just so that I'm clear, you could get a copy of that document, which would show the license that was scanned and have some type of image of that. Thank you. So do we have that?
I don't believe that was turned over to our office. I was unaware that document existed.
What?
I have the return receipt. I don't believe that we received the other receipt. I can confirm with the OIC, but that's my understanding.
Okay, so then it gets to Mr. Goldstein's point. This document, it's backwards. Okay, this is which one? This is the, oh, that's good. I'll do it that way. The out one and the return. All right, this is the return. Correct. But, and correct me if I'm wrong. So I don't have to show ID if I'm returning it. No, I just give you back your vehicle. Anybody can return it. The one that would tell me who really had the vehicle and did whatever, that would be in the first document. And that document's not here.
May I ask the witness a few more questions? Because I think I'm a little confused as far as, because my understanding was under the customer name Christy Couch with the address. That reflects the information that they get from that scan of the driver's license.
Right, but I hear what you're saying, Mr. Cook. But if there's a document that would show who did it, who actually, wouldn't that be the best thing for me to have?
I would agree that would be more helpful to the court, yes.
More helpful?
Yes.
And being better than zero. Ma'am, if I were to ask you, how long would it take you to access the out document? The initial one? How soon could you have that?
Not today.
Oh, I'll give you a printer. I will wheel a printer out here if you could do that. All right. So I think that can probably be done in the prosecutor's office. They'll be more than happy to accommodate you. And while they do that, so that Mr. Goldstein's objection can be answered, court's going to stand in recess.
Okay, so I understand the hearsay rules. I don't understand why you can't ask the witness who rented the car, qualify the witness with the first time knowledge of the driver's license that they received to rent the vehicle. But again, I'm not a lawyer. I need Mike here, or I need God, man, or Artie here, or somebody like that to answer this for me. Hey, maybe I'll call my brother to do a couple of these. He's a lawyer. So anyway, well, there's a recess, so we can fast forward a little bit more.
Maybe we can have that one. I can provide my drive. Yeah.
Let's see.
Wherever
I think she's gonna come back with it. I think she's gonna come back with it.
We are back on the record in the case.
Before I ask you specifically about this document, you indicated your job, you're a manager, right? And you've been a manager for a while, I assume?
She's got it.
Okay. So can you look at this document and tell, but you also do work at the counter also. If I came in to rent a truck, you might be the one, right? Can you tell by looking at this document whether you handled this transaction?
Can I ask the post office clerk which document you're referring to? Is this document?
The contract itself, sorry.
6, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So for the record, I worked in the rental car business, and I even worked at one of the busiest locations. One of the biggest companies, the busiest locations in the entire world. And if I were to sit up at the stand and testify to everybody I ever rented a car to some degree, I'd probably remember them, right? I mean, I might need a document that has my employee number or something on there to refresh my memory. You get, not just my recollection, to refresh my memory on who that person was, and then probably see them sitting at the defense table. But truck rentals, they're not as common as 500 people going through an airport daily to rent a car. So I got a feeling she'll remember who rented this.
Oh, AMIAW? Okay, that's so you did not handle this actual. Okay, so this Mia did. Okay.
The transaction.
As of today, is he or she still employed? Okay. Would you take a look at all the documents you have there in front of you? That is the one-page contract and then something called a contract search, and tell me if there is a representation of a scanned driver's license on there.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question to you is, do you see a representation of a scanned driver's license on this document?
Nope.
Okay, look at the section, I believe it's page 2 of the 3-page document. It says meaningful assurance. And then it says driver's license. You see where I'm referring? And is there a number for a driver's license entered there?
It's gonna be blank.
Is that a place where a driver's license would normally be entered when someone rents a truck? Okay, but it's not on this one.
Somebody's getting fired.
At the bottom of the page, going back to I'm jumping around now. I'm gonna try to, okay. Go back to the equipment contract. There is in the lower left-hand corner a place for the customer to sign. Okay, and there is something in that blank on the contract page, correct? Okay, do you recognize that signature? Have you ever seen that signature before? Okay, can you tell me whether Christy Couch, this Christy Couch, is the one who placed that signature there?
Nope.
Okay, that's fair enough. Now,
And
looking ahead, well,
here-
that's really more cross than it is what dear. Your Honor, I'm going to object. There is nothing tying these documents to my client.
Okay. Ma'am, can you look at exhibit 6 for me again, please? If you look at the very top, where then it indicates DL, you see that, I guess, the second column over? And then it has a number of access and then 417. What is that 417? Would that be the last 3 digits of the driver's license? And then there are 4 numbers after that, 0625. What do you believe that represents? Of the license, which would be the same thing under that meaningful assurance in exhibit 7 where it says expires 6/25. That would be the same thing. Go ahead, Mr. David. Mr. Goldstein's objected. What is your response?
So, Your Honor, regarding the relevancy of this, I think that this is something that shows, it tends to show that Christy Couch was the one that rented this vehicle. Regarding whether or not this witness personally saw her, I don't think that's necessary. What I'm putting this document forward to show is that an individual who had Christy Couch's driver's license, which reflected.
Well, how do I know that?
So, Your Honor, I see. I was going to have him testify to that later. So, if the court wants to hold off.
Testifies to what?
As to her driver's license number as part of his investigation.
Okay. So you're basically giving me an offer of proof that somebody's going to come and testify that the last 3 digits in her driver's license number would be 417.
I believe that is what his testimony will show, yes.
Well, I've got a rule on this. You can believe it. Are you proffering that that's what's going to be said to me?
Yes.
Mr. Goldstein.
I'll accept for the sake of argument that proffer, because it doesn't change anything. All it shows is that somebody went to U-Haul, represented themselves to be Christy Couch, and knew the last 3 digits of her driver's license number and the expiration date. Well, frankly, I know the last 3 digits of about 20 different people's driver's license, and I know their expiration dates.
I don't even know my own, so don't even give me that. You don't know that.
All I'm saying is that doesn't make me you, Judge. That's all I'm saying. And when we have testimony from this witness that normally there is a license scan, which doesn't appear, and it's not even the whole number in the place where she said it should have been.
The whole number. No, well.
Yes, it's a contract. I asked on this page where it says contract search.
No, on the contract search.
If the prosecutor can survive this PC hearing, I guarantee he's going to come back to trial with that full driver's license number on the contract from this rental car company without those numbers X'd out. They probably need to go to their corporate office. I'm sure there's she accessed what she has security clearance for, but there's somebody above her that can get it.
Search, I get it, but on the equipment, well, let me ask you a couple questions. Do you know why there's not a scanned?
On the actual contract, that's just for their security, that it's not showing.
The whole driver's license number. It'd be like a credit card number where it's only gonna be the last 4, right?
Yeah, but the judge told you to come back with the copy of the scanned driver's license. I'm guessing you just don't have access, or your employee just didn't do it.
Okay, I get that. Do we know, what you had explained to me previously was that you scan in a driver's license and that there'd be an image of that driver's license. Do you know why that's not with this?
Sometimes our system does not.
Pardon?
Sometimes our system does not do what it's supposed to do.
Got it. So somebody could have scanned it, which is why it says it's scanned.
So for sure, scan, because it auto inputs everything into the screen. Once it scans, it'll put their license number, the expiration, everything.
Oh, hold on. Say that again to me. No, it's okay, because I wasn't aware of that. When you scan the driver's license, it does what?
It'll auto put the information. So it'll put their name and their license number and everything that's on the license, put it in the system.
Puts it in. So, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. All of the information that's at the top, the identifying information of customer name, their address, their driver's license number, and the like, would that be what would be auto input?
It would just be the license information. The address is what we would have to put.
So
they tell us what was on the license.
Got it. But in terms of the license number, that goes in when you scan the license. So you would get the driver's license number and the expiration date and what state it is, I'm presuming, because it says that it's Michigan. Okay. All right. So the reason we don't have a picture is because something happened with the system how reasonably sure would you be that the driver's license was scanned based upon what you see?
Oh, I'm very sure. The entry method says scan. If it's, input manually, it's okay.
On the contract search? Oh, I see, that place where it says scan. Okay. Probably weren't thinking you'd have to answer all of these questions, but how does the system know to put scan in as opposed to manual? Well, and that's a bad question because the system does something that's going to indicate manual or scan, right?
Yes, because we have to hold it up to, or the phone to a QR code.
Got it. And so if you were to manually input, however the system does it, it would say that it was manually input. If you scan it, the system says scan. And those are basically your two options, right? All right. Anything additional?
I believe as far as the relevancy objection goes, what this document is being proffered for is to show, again, individual with Christy Couch's driver's license was scanned in. I do think that goes to show more likely, it goes to support the claim that Christy was the one that rented this U-Haul. The objection as to whether or not we know for certain 100% whether or not, sir, I believe that goes more.
Well, if the objection is relevance, I mean, it's relevance. What you're arguing maybe to me is what weight I should give to it, but I'll overrule the relevancy objection. That's that. I also think with reference to Mr. Goldstein's argument, the court is also satisfied based on what Ms. Lee has indicated, that there, while the driver's license itself may not appear, that the information that's contained both in the equipment contract as well as the contract search indicates that it was scanned in, that the information was put in. Also presuming that there's the proffer of the people, that there's going to be testimony regarding the 417 at the end of the driver's license, as well as Ms. Lee's testimony that the first portion of the driver's license is, which makes sense, is not displayed in documents. The court would overrule the objection of the defendant, Mr. Goldstein, and the court will admit it, exhibits 6 and 7.
Thank you. I believe there's also objection to exhibit 5. Is the court ruling on that as well? Because that was the return receipt.
It's all connected. So I'll admit 5, 6, and 7.
Thank you. Ma'am, looking at, we'll just go with the equipment contract. Does that tell you when this U-Haul was rented out?
Yeah.
And what date was that? So that's January 3rd of this year. When you go to the third page of the contract search, there's some boxes there. It looks like a little table, has location, entered by note, and then a date and time. Can you explain what those are to the court?
Access link for the customer. Instead of us actually walking around with the customer to double check the equipment, they click that link and it's around to double check miles, gas. License plate number, all that stuff, and it's all showing that they approved it.
Okay. And specifically on that second to bottom row there, from August or January 3rd, 2025 at 8:50, there is a number at the end of the sentence that is 734-635-0410. What does that number represent?
That's the primary number that the customer gave me.
So that's the number that you're texting that confirmation link? Okay. And I believe on exhibit 5, this would be the return receipt. Does it indicate the license plate of the specific vehicle that was rented out? And what was that license plate?
It's under equipment, it's on AM 63066.
Does your store have any cameras or video footage or any way of obtaining video footage set up within it? And if you were to see that video footage, would you be able to recognize it? And that video storage, how is that stored as far as accessing it?
I can access like a few weeks of anything.
Who all has access to those? You're the only one with access, is that what you said? Okay. Yes, if I may, just to display something for authentication purposes. Thank you.
Sorry.
I'm putting up, it's just a still frame of what people proposed Exhibit 8. Ma'am, do you recognize this video? Right. And is this a fair and accurate representation of the inside of your store? And this video, to the best of your knowledge, is this the same video that you were able to access and pull up from January 3rd? Your Honor, move to admit what's been marked as people's proposed Exhibit 8.
Okay, well, all right, exhibit 8 is admitted, as long as I know what I'm admitting. Am I admitting a video or still?
It is a video.
Okay.
And then permission to publish the video to the court. Can't tell you're not going to cut off there 1 second. Pause the video here. So, ma'am, the video that we just saw, you can see the time and date stamp on the bottom. Is that correct? And how accurate is that time and date stamp? Right, so that's the actual time and date. So this would be 7:45 and 57 seconds. And is this the video, or I'll rephrase it. When you pull a video, do you just pull by date and time, or are you able to pull from a specific transaction? How does that work? Date and time? Okay. I'll continue playing the video.
I mean, to me, that didn't look like the lady that was sitting at the defense stand, but maybe there's more people coming in.
Pause the video just one more time here. Ma'am, looking at that date and time stamp, does that coincide roughly with the date and time stamp that you have as far as when the vehicle was rented out?
So once it's dispatched out, that's the time that their rental starts. So she's going through the process.
Okay. I'll take this off then because the rest of the video is mostly just showing the transaction. We can remove my computer from the screen. Thank you.
Yeah, it wasn't the best video. It certainly wasn't entertaining. She could have at least thrown something.
Showing defense counsel what's been marked as people's proposed exhibit number 9.
I'm going back to body cam after this. As much as I like watching court, I'm gonna fall asleep. Man, it started so good too. There, apparently everybody was fighting in the.
Put my screen up
outside the
for
doors.
foundation for people's proposed exhibit 9 as well, please.
Yeah. He's a racing fan. Formula One.
Ma'am, do you recognize this ring? And what is this?
This isn't gonna.
And this video, to the best of your knowledge, is a fair and accurate representation of the video that you recovered from your surveillance system. I don't think we'll move to admit what's been marked as people's proposed exhibit 9 into evidence.
Okay. Oh, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. Okay.
Exhibit 9 is admitted.
Permission to publish?
Yes.
Alright, here she comes. She's got a beanie. What? Okay, this is where you need the lady that actually. Oh,
Just pause right there.
Like
Ma'am, again, the time and date stamp at the bottom, we can see it looks like it references January 3rd at 19:45 and 16 seconds. Is that accurate? And is that time and date stamp accurate just like the other one was?
Alright,
thank you.
I can't tell who the heck it is.
We could take the video down, please.
But it matches the skin tone. Alright, you got
no further questions for this witness time. Thank you.
Seriously?
Mr. Norman, cross examination. No cross examination.
I'm going to refer to, sorry, sure, that's okay. I'm going to refer to these documents by what they are rather than the document, rather than the exhibit number. Is that okay? If you have any question which document I'm referring to, just let me know.
Okay, I get it. He was just qualifying the video. Hopefully the person who actually worked at the counter is going to testify later, I'm assuming.
The equipment contract indicates a date and time of January 3rd of 2025 at 7:50 p.m., correct? And it was done at your location, which is Michigan Avenue in Inkster, Michigan. Is that right?
She's not.
Is your location also known as 752069? Okay. On this sheet, let me hold it up so you can take a look at it. See that one? Okay. The top document, top entry says, officer called and wanted to make sure that the equipment with tag, and it gives a tag number, had been returned. Informed them that it had been and was still there. That was January 5th at 1:10 p.m., correct? And their location was 672028. Is that a different location than where you are?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Does this indicate where the vehicle was returned?
Not necessarily. Well, she's confirming with us that we have.
She meaning the person at the call center? Yeah. Right. Right. So at that point, the vehicle was probably at your location. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Do you know if it was returned to your location? Okay. Do you know when it was actually returned?
What time it was returned in the day? 1:40.
Okay. And I'm sorry, say that again? Oh, because the U-Haul receipt that I'm looking at says Sunday, January 5th at 8:55 a.m. No, I'm looking at the U-Haul receipt. Up at the top, it says Sunday, January 5th, 8:55 a.m.
I can't really hear her either.
It says U-Haul receipt, and right underneath that, it says contract number, and then it says Sunday, January 5th, 2025 at 8:55 a.m.
So we can put a hold when it's returned. So this in receipt number 5, this shows that it was checked in personally by my employee. He put it on hold. So when it's on hold, that means that like the car declined, something happened to one payment. So it stays on hold and we can close it out for like 2 business days.
Okay, well, what is what showing?
The 1.5.
Okay, well, where on here does it indicate when? Okay, let me rephrase that. How do you know? Does somebody from your company have to accept the return, or can somebody just pull the vehicle into the lot and leave the keys in it and drive off? Okay, and can you tell from this document what happened in this particular case, whether it was dropped off or whether someone in your office actually had communication with someone?
Someone checked.
Okay, and that was not the same person that checked it out?
No.
Okay, and is there any indication on here as to who dropped off the vehicle and when it was checked in? There wouldn't be? So if someone came into your store and said, I have this vehicle we rented a couple of days ago, yesterday, whenever, and they wouldn't check his ID or see who it is, they would just say, okay, thank you, and take the keys? Okay, so you have no way of knowing whether Christy Couch returned that vehicle. And in fact, there's a place for Christy Couch to sign the receipt, isn't there? Is there a signature in that line? Would it be a fair statement, ma'am, if you were to look at these documents, other than possibly driving the van out of your location on the 3rd, whether or not she ever had contact with that van after that? There's no way. So hypothetically, I could.
Okay, so he's kind of shit that you have no proof that my client ever rented this van, to saying that there's no proof that my client ever had this van or drove this van or had it in my possession after renting the van.
I could come into your location. You could rent me a van. I could drive out of the parking lot. A day or two later, the van gets returned by someone, and you would have no way of knowing how long I was driving that van. Is that a fair statement? Okay. So all you can tell me based upon these documents is you believe that Christy Couch rented it. And that's all you can say. And it was returned. Someone returned it. Fair statement? Thank you.
I mean,
Perfect. Any questions?
drop your keys and go. You know?
Right. Can I, is there a, I know sometimes with cars and ambulance, you haul, I don't know, but is there a limitation, when somebody rents one, is there a limitation on who, as to who can operate that vehicle?
Yes, when they sign the contract.
Would it be a fair statement to say, though, that not everybody that rents a vehicle follows that rule?
Their view of the dishonesty of the world.
Based upon 55 years experience as a criminal lawyer. No, thank you.
Thank you. And hearing no further questions. Ms. Lee, thank you so very much. You have a good evening. May this witness.
The operator number, the operator, cashier, running the register, the date is the trading date is the date of. Your item lines are your scan times and the operator, and then if you look in where it says product, the SKUs that were purchased at the time, and a brief description that says men's performance.
And then looking at the back, this looks to be an email that you sent. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, that is.
Looking back at the front then, well, I'll move to admit with remarks to proposed exhibit 10 first.
Any objection or order? All right, exhibit 10 is admitted.
Thank you. So, sir, going through that, beginning with where it says item lines, and then it looks like there's 6 different lines starting between 0 and going to 5. What do those lines mean?
So the first 3 would be what was scanned at the register. Right, and then if you look over, it's 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, and 2, men's performance would be the 3 items scanned. And then it would show 3, 4, and 5 would be keystrokes on the register at that time, where they'd be asking for, they ask for, I believe it is phone number, if they have a rewards card, stuff like that. They're just prompts on the screen.
Okay. So looking at what's labeled lines 0, 1, and 2, those first 3 lines, the product number, or the number underneath the product column, what does that number
That is
represent?
the SKU, the identification number that we use to identify exact product.
And what specifically is that product?
That is a men's performance camouflage shirt.
Okay. Do you know roughly what size?
Okay, so I'm guessing this guy works at Bass Pro Shops, obviously, because of the logo on his shirt. At first, I was like, why would somebody dress like this to court? My second thought is, why would somebody dress like that to court, even if they do work there? I'm not dressed too well myself right now, but I'm not gonna wear a green undershirt under a white polo with like some floppy collars. Okay, never mind. I'll stop judging. Or maybe I won't.
Do you know what color camouflage it is?
It would have been our True Timber, our proprietary brand camo.
You said true timber. What sort of look is that going for? Is it like desert, woodland, icy?
It's just like a digital pattern, so to speak. It kind of mimics nature, but it's more of just a digital representation.
What would you say the primary colors on that shirt are?
Gray, green, black, are the basic colors of it.
Okay.
Alright, so
And
basically
going
the
down to
prosecution's
tender,
gonna
it says
say,
local cash. Does that mean that they paid with
"You bought
cash
some
money?
clothes that match clothes of the people."
Problem is mine's not, but don't worry about
Yeah, I'm skipping over that guy's testimony. I'm sure he's just saying you bought some clothes that match the clothes of the people that committed the crime. And then the defense is going to say, no, you didn't. Or how can you prove that, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Which?
In Wayne County.
The 21st?
I won't know, we have a status conference, I won't know if that date is gonna actually go. So we can schedule that date.
Okay, and then,
For some reason, I'm trying to, you know.
okay, then we'll figure it out. Okay. You'd rather be here than Wayne County anyway.
Whoa, did I miss a ruling? Hold on.
This is taking a second. It's a proprietary thing, so I'm just trying to make sure it's all good to go.
Oh, God, I didn't mean to push that button again.
Try and do this without making it yell at me.
Oh, we get a video? Okay, I'm glad I went backwards a little bit. Alright. Maybe we see the whole group. Let's see the whole group. Yeah.
So is this the media player that you use for your workplace?
That is the software, yes.
All right, and I'm just gonna play just a second here just to put it up on there. There we go. And do you recognize this video?
No.
Yes, that's the transaction camera. That is a camera that is above the register, which is known as 106.
And that video, is it a fair and accurate record? When you gain control of it, is this video a fair and accurate representation of the video that you saw when you observed your system?
Yes.
All right. Now, people move to admit what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 11.
Does it look sideways?
011 is admitted.
Permission to publish the report?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it's a check stand. Oh, she's wearing the same. She must have just got done running the truck. Oh, who's that guy? Does he look like any of the people that were sitting at the defense tables? One. What was the pink thing? Oh no, that's a scanner. 2. 3. I think I saw 3 camo shirts. Or pants. I don't know. I think they were shirts. Pays with cash. Yeah, they really planned this out. Now they got to bring back the first witness. Does that match what they were wearing? Ooh, I got an email. Oh, who's this guy? Oh, it's probably just a different guy. Wait, or is he? He doesn't match. Maybe they're making the fourth guy pay for his own stuff.
You could take me off, please. Sir, I can't recall if I asked it already. The video that we just watched, is that video representative of the transaction that's recorded on this receipt? Thank you. Do you know either of the individuals that made or that were there for that purchase? No further questions at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Norman, cross-examination.
I just want to ask you a quick question about this exhibit 10, I believe it is. If you look to the right of that document, it appears to be cut off. For instance, where it says card number / SOR, I assume that says source.
It does say source, yeah.
What else is missing from that document?
I would have to do the screen, but I believe it just says Flex ID and then it would have said source. And then you would have seen maybe like half of a Excel tab there.
Okay, so there's no other information relevant to the transaction that's missing?
No.
All right, and you said you're not sure what size the shirts that were bought were?
I am not without running this SKU, particularly within a detailed research.
Okay, and it's not unusual for Cabela's to sell camouflage shirts.
No.
Right, it's one of the big items that you guys sell, right?
And I will tell you.
And the particular print you mentioned, the digital print.
I'm proud to say I own zero. Wait, hold on. Let me think about that. I've purchased zero camo anything. I think I might have something on it, but I definitely don't wear it if I do.
Is also a fairly common print at Cabela's.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So correct me if I'm wrong. When I was looking at that, and I can look at it again, those look to be long sleeve.
Yeah.
They are. Okay, thank you.
Nothing further on.
Nothing?
No questions, Your Honor.
Do they have short sleeve camera shirts?
Yes.
Do you know which one you sell more, short or long?
I can tell you, sir.
They got shorts camos. They've got tank top camo. They've got short sleeve camo.
Some more long sleeve than winter.
I wouldn't be able to know without looking at the data.
All right, thank you.
I thought you were asking about the short sleeve for yourself.
I thought I was gonna ask you to get a price.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you. Anything based on those questions?
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Johnson, thank you so much, sir. May this witness be excused.
No objection, Your Honor. No objection.
This witness is excused. All right, thank you. We're approaching about the 5 o'clock hour. You have 2 more witnesses after this?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, they're extensive witnesses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjourn this out to another date. And my question
I'm
would
gonna have
be,
to write
will
this
June
down because we gotta
30th
finish
work?
it.
I don't want to go out too far.
I'm on vacation, Your Honor.
So beautiful. Go ahead. You're on vacation now.
Yes, Your Honor.
Till when?
I'll be back on the 8th. I can go to court on the 8th.
On the 8th. All right.
I'll be in my
21st. Okay. Okay. After that, counsel, you may want to check, because my next date, if I can't do the 30th, is July 21st. And I can't do the 30th, Mr. Bernstein.
Understood. I'll ask them about that date. I'll just get all available dates from the next 2-3 months, just in case.
2 or 3 months. That's not happening.
July 21st works for me, Your Honor.
Judge, my December is like really open.
Problem is mine's not, but no worries.
jury trial beginning that Monday.
Which?
Thursday in Wayne County.
The 21st?
I won't know, we have a status conference, I won't know if that date is gonna actually go. So we can schedule that date.
Okay, and then,
if for some reason, I try to,
okay,
as you know.
then we'll figure it out. Okay. You'd rather be here than Wayne County anyway.
21st works for me, Your Honor.
Okay, so I will set it on the 21st at 9 AM. That's a Monday. You should be able to finish it up. Okay. From the prosecutor, I'll need copies, however you want to provide them, of the video exhibits to the court.
I'm going to design one that's proprietary software that goes along with it. I'm fine to copy that to the board.
All right, very good. All right. Is there anything else before we adjourn out to July 21st?
Just
At
for
9.
clarification, are we gonna be limiting it to the 2 witnesses that you mentioned? Doesn't show up and have like. I don't know if we're limiting it to the 2 witnesses that are supposed to be remaining for today.
Well, I typically don't do that, but I had,
Well, there you have it. turned into nothing. You know, a whole lot of testimony with no results. I don't know, just for the sake of putting something in the chat, in the comments. What do you think's gonna happen? I think the um, prosecutor definitely has half of the elements of PC, and I think he's pretty close to the other half. But oh man, I mean, he's really well for at least two of the defendants. He's got the lady maybe, and he's got the person with the tether. What I think is gonna happen, I think the guy with the tether is gonna want to change his plea. I think he's going to make a deal to snitch on his other people. But who's to say? I mean, that's probably the right move here, as long as the prosecution offers a deal. But I don't know how close he is to these other people, or if they're his family. But I mean, he's clearly the one that's in the most trouble here. So anyway, well, thanks for joining me. I think I'm gonna go back to body cam after this. The trials. I mean, I understand why people only do soft sits and Karens and pro says. They're just more entertaining. You're not gonna learn anything from me. Oh, by the way, grammar school. The name comes from if you hung around this long. If you ever watch Law Talk with Mike, which I think there's probably 30, 40 channels that follow that are made from like a. Yeah, anyway, I gotta go. Bye.